the 14th, Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, for some in Uganda, it is not celebratory because of especially lost loved ones. Lost not because they wish, but because their life is taken away prematurely by dictator Museveni, son Muhoozi, and brother of Museveni, Salim Saleh. So I'm back with a part of what I needed to share with you today. You know, something came to mind while I was thinking about coming back, especially with the military, the UPDF portion of this event today. Napoleon once said, there's a lot of conflict in the world, not because of bad people, but because of the silence of good people. So my UPDF or Armed Forces brothers and sisters, you are silent for too long. You have been silent for too long. You know what these people are doing. You can say no. You can say that you're following orders. You can say that that's where you eat or that's where you feed your family. You can say that that's a job, but your conscience is what you have to answer to every day. Why don't you join the stampede and do what's necessary so we can have some peace? So Uganda can be free, so you can enjoy. That's where I left off earlier. So in the transition project, or Muhoozi project, as it's said sometimes, the Muhoozi project is essentially about Museveni leaving or planning his exit and initiating Muhoozi's takeover of power. As sick as it sounds, he's literally taking off his shoes for his son to fill. Sometimes that's proverbial, but in this instance, it is something they think they can achieve. So as I mentioned earlier, there are plans to eliminate the older generals or colonels or brigadiers or higher-ups of the Security Council or the UPDF, armed forces, prisons, police, JAT, whatever armed force is in Uganda. They plan to eliminate them because they feel like they disrespect Muhoozi. General Tafiri has come out several times and spoken against the regime. He says it's okay that Muhoozi can run for office, but it should not be enforced from his father. And we say Muhoozi was not born in Uganda, is not entitled to taking over power from his father. In fact, he's an illegitimate person to run for presidency in Uganda. So because of people like that and things that they say, their plans are to eliminate all those 3-number generals or rankings or 4-number rankings. For example, I had said that Kahindo Tafire is a 4-number ranking general. So people like him are going to be slowly eliminated from the military. Like I said on Teresita, they brag about having poisoned at least 29 military people. That means by November, as they say, they will not be in existence and will not be alive to see next year. So then what I say is that because these people control everything about your life, why are you still waiting for those moments to appear, to come? Why don't you take decisions now to save your life and your family's life? Because truly, if people like Otafire, Katumba Wamala, if if they decided to say, you know, we are going to stand up for Ugandans, we are going to stand up for what's right, we can achieve this. I'm not saying militarily in a way of, you know, everybody gone type thing, or, you know, shooting people or killing people. But I think they can be assets to us to help bring about change by informing us of how those people operate in there. And maybe the other one could be an option too. But just crossing over and helping us this generation would be useful. So in any case, there's a saying that goes that at first they came for Bobi Wine and people did not speak. Elites said, oh boy, that is a crazy guy, he's a drunk, he's somebody from the ghetto, he's not brilliant. And because they're not, they kept quiet. Then they came for foot soldiers. And they did not speak again. The church did not speak. You know, Eddie Mutwe has a church where he used to go to every Sunday. But when Eddie Mutwe was in detention, not a priest said a word at the time. Father Deo was brutalized by Muhoozi. And nobody spoke about it because it did not affect them. The elites, the church people, those who are doing well, those are eating from Museveni. They did not speak because it did not affect them, because they were not foot soldiers. And then they came for activists and journalists. Even then, they did not speak because they're not activists; they're journalists. They say things like, "We're working for our children," or school fees, or whatever the case may be. There will be a time when they will come for you. You elite, you comfortable person, you who is living well now. There will be a time when they will come for you, and there will be nobody left to stand in for you, to speak for you, to support you. General Sunday died a few days ago because he despised National Unity Platform. He despised the fact that foot soldiers are being taken and some being tried in court-martial and all of that. The more you despise the fact that this movement is moving forward, the more you are at risk of whatever you feel like you are protecting right now. Because if you are Ugandan, you're moving target to Museveni and his family. It is time that we all join hands, especially those working for those people. Come to the right side of history. We will protect you. We know you have done a lot. People like the Abakama. Every time we have a security alert, it's even hard to mention. Why would you protect a person like this? But you know what? We hope that someday, maybe he'll tell us, or he'll be a testimony to the ICC that will be credible to bring about change in this country. We have room, so come on, let's work together. All armed forces. It is obvious that they will eliminate all of you who are Ugandan descent. Come so we can work together. Instead of dying like chickens, cross to the other side. Okay? So the other thing they want to do is eliminate all military possible replacements for CDF position. Because they can't have a CDF with Muhoozi, who is an older generation, who is the 3-number or 4-number type military person. They want to eliminate all of those possible ones. So that moves even lower than the generals that I'm talking about that are seeming older. That means they're going to look at people in Muhoozi's age group. Who could possibly fill in those shoes? They want a Rwandese person, obviously. But in the meantime, they will eliminate all of you. So I'm talking finishing the top cream, the 00, the 3 numbers, the 4 numbers, the brigadiers, the colonels, the generals. They will come down to the next level low, potential CDF filling positions, and then eventually to the lowest. It has happened so many times that they send a lot of Ugandan military to Sudan and Congo to fight battles that they don't even care about. Without question, they dress up and go. Many of the Ugandan military don't come back. Even if they try to get them back, it is not responsibly and honorably. Why die like something wasted when you could be dignified for the right reasons, being called by God, or in a fight for your own country? Right now, all UPDF and militia or Ugandan military, you are fighting Rwanda's interests. You are killing your own. You are arresting your own. All the prisoners, the prison wardens are protecting, are your own people, your own children, your own brothers and sisters. How does that feel? How do you sleep at night? Knowing that possibly you're somebody who could have been your child, you have run over with a vehicle, you have beaten, you have shot at and killed, you have abducted and disappeared. How do you feel? The way you are treating Ugandans who are compromised on orders is the way these people treat you. I've heard of how many of the armed forces are in incarceration right now. I'll get to it when we do. People who have already been killed that you all know. People like Mayombo, Lokech, Nyakirima. They'd say that Sunday Deus was killed by the same poison that Nyakirima was given. It does not take you more than 24 hours for you not to be alive. Now, I don't have the exact story about how that happened. I'll look for it and I'll bring it to you. But I have some stories about how, for example, Lokech, Mayombo. Imagine during transport from Uganda to Kenya for special treatment for Mayombo, while at the airport, being transported by SFCs, his oxygen cannula was purposely disconnected from the oxygen concentrator, that machine that continuously produces oxygen, purposefully, because they wanted him dead before he arrived in Kenya. That is the heart you are dealing with. Sunday Deus started having complications about a mile or two away, or a kilometer or two away from a hospital. But I will tell you that Deo was driven at least an hour to get him to the furthest possible hospital so that they make sure he's gone before he's delivered to the hospital, because they have to make sure he's dead. Imagine a heart like that. Their purpose of driving him around was not to rescue him. They drove him around to make sure he wastes away. He takes his last breath in their hands. So they can call the boss and say, yes, boss, it's done. The gentleman who has replaced Sunday is a Ugandan, the one right under him. He knows for a fact how Sunday went out of this world. But guess what? Because he's going to say, I have to feed my children, or I have to send my children to school, he's taking the shortest distance to losing his life versus a possibility to live even longer. It's a prisoner's mind, prisoner's mindset. Many of our soldiers have a prisoner's mentality. They are afraid of the unknown. They would rather die than possibly live, which is unfortunate. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible for change to happen. It is possible that you can have a better life, that you can have a longer life, that you can live an honorable life. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a soldier in the United States and you walk around with your uniform, anywhere you go, many of us will say, thank you for your service. Thank you, sir. Many will buy whatever you're buying. They'll pay for it for you. Many of them will get off a seat so that you can sit, because a soldier has been, doing their work, is tired and maybe needs some rest. Many of them will, they'll treat you with so much respect and dignity. But I see soldiers in Uganda. Some of you have shoes with a sole that is just holding on by a string. I can imagine if that's what's on the outside, what's on the inside. I'm not going to go into that much detail. But you know how badly you live. Why don't you look for change for a change? My father was in the military. When the time Museveni came to take over power, my father joined him with the NRA. My father went in as normally a recruit would go in to join the military. In good faith, hoodwinked, and lied to by the Museveni regime. He did not last 5 years. No. In 1986 was when Museveni officially took over power. My father died in 1993. Circumstances not explained. Died young. If he went into the military because he thought he was going to support his kids or feed them, well, he couldn't. He was gone. I was 7 years old. Gone. So I give that as an example, not to show off or not to make you feel bad, but I'm speaking to the heart of the UPDF or the military person. Think again. Tomorrow is not promised to you. It's not. My mother had to raise us single-handedly. My father made the ultimate sacrifice because he went in thinking he's going to raise a family with us. He was not here. He's not here. All of you are examples. You are all moving targets. You will be gone on their time, on their schedule, not on yours or God's schedule. No, because if Sunday was on God's schedule, he would have died of something else, not poisoned by Museveni. So anyway, let's move on. Sunday's killers were in the military. Okay, sorry, 1 second. All right. I think I've spoken too much. Let me move on to my next item. Okay. I have quite a lot, so bear with me, please. Okay. So Magere, as you know, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's home is still under siege by Museveni. In fact, it has become a barracks of some sorts. Museveni, in all attempts to paint Bobi Wine blue and black, or to taint his name, especially internationally, he has decided to use Kyagulanyi's land inappropriately at Magere. What he's doing is burying dead people on the land in Magere. The people that he's burying there, they're creating mass graves. Those people are Nup supporters whom Museveni and his family have killed. Some of them are being exhumed from certain places and being brought to Magere land. Okay? Because what he wants to do is to catch Bobi Wine in the act. Actually, not catch. He wants to portray Bobi Wine as a terrorist organization and be able to show new people that, hey, this is the president you think you have, but look, he has buried all your people. He has killed and buried all your people in the backyard. Even if Museveni doesn't last in power, what he believes is that Rwandese will know where this burial has happened, where all these people have been hidden. And eventually, say 10, 15 years later, they will come back with the international Western world community attention. The international community's attention will bring people with the intention to show them where these people have been buried. They're going to dig up lots around this area and bury them and act like nothing happened beneath that land. And that's why they're still everywhere on the land of Bobi Wine's home, because they want to maintain secrecy of what they're doing on that land. Okay? So once they bury and hide and all of that, then they will take the military away from home. There's been many reasons why Museveni has taken siege of Bobi Wine's home. One of them is to do witchcraft. A lot of it, extreme, unbelievable activity. The next one is to be able to bury these people, such secret, such evidence. Even 10 years from now, you can still do DNA and prove that certain people are certain people. They will document the reason why some of these people who are in prison will tell you that they've drawn their blood, they've done this, they've taken their pictures, they've taken this and that. They have storage for these facts so that in the future they can prove that truly this person is related to so-and-so by blood, 100% or whatever percent. Then you can tell if they're brother or distant relative or whatever the case may be. So that is something that they're doing on Bobi Wine's land. Okay? They're putting there all new people that they think they can get to bury on those lands anywhere. All noob soldiers, foot soldiers are desperate because they're looking for them. You must hide as much as possible, all the foot soldiers, because they're still hunting them down. They're going to people's homes. They're taking people at night. They're taking people in the daytime. People are still disappearing. Many cannot report for fear of being trailed further. You know, there's a lot of intimidation. Even if apologists or regime apologists come out on TV and say, oh, we don't want Bobi Wine. We don't really care for Bobi Wine. No. Behind all of that, there's continuous abduction and killing of NUP members. Still, today, to date. Many NUP members are living in the bush. Many NUP foot soldiers cannot come out and live openly. They sleep in the bushes. They come out in the daytime. They're very vigilant. You know, unlucky ones are caught somehow because you can't live in the bush forever. But I promise you, and I know how much you're suffering, people, someday, soon, we will achieve a free Uganda. Freedom is coming. Yes, Isaac. Freedom is coming. Okay? The other thing, I wanted to, I don't know if I should, anyway. Magogo is said to be a widow in the next coming weeks. I'm going to leave that at that. You can fill in the rest. Okay? Several NRM members, as I said, have been poisoned. So a little story about how Museveni has been doing certain things is, for example, whenever Museveni wanted to take over or control or do dirty deeds in a certain place, for example, in Karamoja, when they wanted to get into the gold reserves, the uranium, the whatever minerals are in Karamoja, he sent his wife to be the minister of Karamoja affairs. You remember that time? Within that time, several people from Karamoja were killed. Several. It is that time when Janet was there that we started seeing street kids from Karamoja region. Do you remember that? Kampala became just filled with Karamojong people begging. The reason why that is because they were chasing them off their land. Many Karamojongs have been killed. Many uncountable, unreported, undocumented Karamojongs are missing to date. And because they cannot, you know, Karamoja has retained their values for a very long time. Education has been cheated from them conveniently by the Museveni regime for a very long time. Their lifestyle has not granted them a lot of civilization like the rest of Uganda has. In that case, with all of that being that is a fact of their life, there has not been good documentation of what is going on in Karamoja. Recently, several videos have been coming out. When the president went to Karamoja and we saw videos of people naked and dying of hunger daily, is when the whole world got alerted about how badly Karamoja is doing. So after Janet Museveni left, after they had extracted a lot of gold, you know, a lot of the minerals from Karamoja is not even documented in tons. We don't know how much is there, because when Janet was there, no questions were supposed to be asked. They took a lot of the mineral to Tanzania, where they have their village. A lot of it has gone to Rwanda. A lot of it, obviously, for personal gain. There is not a ministry, that ministry of Anita, is it Anita? Something natural resources or whatever. Those ministries are just placeholders. They do not, I repeat, they don't have any record of traces of anything. Not oil, not minerals, not gold, nothing. Not even fish in Lake Victoria. Reason being, all of those precious minerals are controlled, owned personally by Museveni's people. So with Janet being there, they've killed thousands of Karamojongs. I've heard about 3 million Karamojongs are in incarceration for crimes they can't even explain. You know, the life of a Karamojong person is very bare. That we think about a car and this and that. He probably just needs a few clothes on his back, a wrap, guarantee of food, his cows or their cows, and a place to live. They're not extravagant. We've not seen any of that happening. Although it's possible that in the cities that's the case. But the real indigenous Karamojongs have nothing left in their land. Their land, a lot of their land has been taken and owned by these Rwandese people. Many of them have taken residency there. So every time Museveni puts this woman of his anywhere, it means slowing down livelihood of people. The next place that they moved into, Janet Museveni has moved into, was the Ministry of Education. She's the current Minister of Education, and you will not believe. I was surprised by this. Being that Janet, since the time Janet came into the Ministry of Education, listen and listen well. When I speak like this, feel free to relate to your own circumstances. It is amazing that what these people have done quietly, that we have just woken up to. So in the Ministry of Education, okay, where Janet is the current minister, did you know that since she became a minister, all their family, remember Janet did not go to school. I think she stopped in P2 or something, or P7. P7 would be tops. She did not go to school. She has no business being a whole administrator of a chamber of education in a country. But get why she was there. As always, when they put her in a place, there are no questions asked. But here's what they did with the Ministry of Education. Their main purpose of having the Ministry of Education was to give all Rwandese families documentation of education. Certificates, whatever was necessary for them to look legitimate, they gave them. Just issuing, putting the name and issuing. Yes, Katongole, yes. P3 dropout. I said P7 would be way too much. Anyways, the reason why she went, she's the Minister of Education, is so that she can document, she can give certificates, transcripts, you name it, whatever they need for their Rwandese community and people and family documentation to look legitimate so that they can get jobs in high places in foreign countries, the Western world, and all that. So Navas, hello. So she is there not because she's qualified to be. So many of their family members got higher certificates of higher education. I'm talking from P7. If we could have certificates issued for P1, P2, yes, they'd have them too. Certificates from P7 all the way to doctorate degrees. When you hear of Dr. So-and-so of Rwandese descent, they did not go to school for it. They were handed the certificate like here. Like you get cash and say, here's $10, go do something with it. That is how every step of the way, every single step of the way. Yes, P2, I said P7 would be too much. P2 sounds about right. So I'm going to give you examples of these people. Okay. They even needed job references, which were given to them by ministries, the Ministry of Education. People like CJ Muyingo, JC Muyingo, one of the two. I actually went to Namugongo school, and I remember Mr. Muyingo very well. I couldn't tell then that he was, running with the thugs at the time. But time has come where they feel like Janet is tired. She's old. She can't function anymore. She has her own medical conditions. She's not able to manage this ministry anymore. And if you remember, when Honorable Senyonyi began to probe the Uganda Airlines lady Bamuturachi, you will remember the circumstances around Bamuturachi's education. It then came up to their attention that Ugandans may be figuring out this thing that they've been running for a while. Bamuturachi was a sacrifice they were willing to let go. In his interrogation and investigation, Honorable Joel Senyonyi questioned Bamuturachi's education and requested that she brings her documents of qualification. Obviously, when you are hired to a high position like an airlines, you have to be qualified. You have to have documentation from P7, S6, university, whatever you studied. I think she studied something that has no relationship with business anyway. That's what she claimed. So get this, Bamuturachi never went to school. Like she said, this was a favor to her because of her father, Sijui. Indeed, Bamuturachi never went to Makerere. Bamuturachi never studied what she claimed she studied. They were too embarrassed to produce those documents because we would trace them to the roots. If she said she went to school in 1994 at Makerere, blah, 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 there would be somebody who would say, I was in that class. I studied at this time. How come I never saw you? How come you never showed up? How come? So that because they knew we would figure them out, they did not release transcript for Bamuturachi. She gave us stories about left and right, this, that, and the other, until Joel Senyonyi could not collect those documents. Bamuturachi is one of the main examples why a whole airline collapses like this, where an airplane travels to Heathrow and the tire will burst, and she will not do the math to figure out how that whole process of replacement or fix or whatever should come about. Because if you don't know something, you don't know it. In fact, the worst person to talk to is somebody who doesn't know what they're doing but is making things up as they go along. Because that is the foolishest anyone will ever look. And Bamuturachi has looked that way since day one. Several people recently in the UAE, somewhere in the Arab Emirates area, were stuck because their flight got cancelled. They stayed for a week or something. I mean, people all over the world look at Ugandans like, do you guys have brains? Like, do you understand? How does a whole airline fail to prepare to make connections for people who already paid them? How is that even possible? Now, all of this makes sense because she never really went to school for any of this. This was handed to her just like they did with the rest of them. This was a whole Randy's operation under Janet Museveni. She got a certificate in a place she probably never boarded an airplane, came from selling tomatoes somewhere to planning trips and managing an airline. Therefore, an airplane seems bigger than or larger than her life. She can't imagine it. But this is how these people have been working. Many UNEB, many certificates. It is also said that, get this, Besige's wife, Winnie Byanyima, did not have all the credentials to go to where she was given a job. When I tell you FDC and Besige is a whole saga and a whole lot of BS, it is true. Because how do you explain Besige's wife being in such a place, okay? The UN or whatever the place her office is, on the international stage, but fails to bring about a rescue for her husband who has been in prison coming to a year. Look at us and what we have done for Noop. Just being foot soldiers and being on platforms and this, that, and the other. Bobby Wine, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, recently just started traveling to these places and making an impact. But you can tell me that Winnie Byanyima, who has been working in these offices for these many years, has no way to trigger something to get her husband rescued? And meanwhile, this is the husband who was in the bush with Museveni, but has no idea who this guy is and that he's Rwandese and all of that? How so? We have been fooled for so long. This Besige thing has to stop. I'm sorry he's in prison, but maybe he wants to. Maybe he has a deal with these people. It's about time we focus on where we can achieve. They will release Besige when they want. I'm sure he's probably having fun. Maybe he doesn't even stay in prisons anymore. So let Besige not be our worry, not be our issue. I know our president says otherwise, and I'm sorry, but this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. It doesn't. It doesn't add up, people. So anyway, continuing with UNEB and Janet exiting UNEB. This is the bitter part. Now that Janet wants to leave UNEB because her health is failing. You know, these people thought they would live forever and not face any health issues or challenges or a Bobby Wine who came like a storm. They didn't think of a Kyagulanyi Ssentamu who would just shake their bones. Now that it's time that we've figured out that she's a P2 dropout, cannot add value, we have exposed them, we know that she's not intelligent, we know that she's inadequate, we know that she's incompetent, we know that all these certificates are fake and all of that. They have decided to execute. I'm talking kill or do away with offices or officers of those offices that work for the Ministry of Education. I'm talking UNEB, Makerere, Nkumba, Chambogo, the Ministry of Education, people like J.C. Muyingo, Peter Ogwang, Joyce Kadogo, Dr. Cedric Turiagenda, all those who are part of these dirty deals of producing and reproducing paperwork for these Museveni families, all of them from Rwanda, Tanzania, all those got documentation. All of them went to foreign missions. There are ambassadors who presented credentials in their country of appointment that were fake. They didn't even know how to handle ambassadorship, but they went along with it. And usually when the president or the the country that's posting somebody verifies those facts, that country that's receiving the ambassador doesn't question. So many of these people, Rwandese people who have taken up ambassadorship as Ugandans, were given papers from the photocopy. They were just made for papers. We talk about Nasarod. These guys had it in-house. All those people went to study petroleum. All they needed was certain certifications to be able to qualify to go. They could cut off their hands on duty. But the point was to get them out. Some of the people, such as, I have a name of somebody here. Rwamushana. Yes. Boy. People like Rwamushana. When he was given his first position, he had not gone to school. They just went to the printing press and gave him certificates of whatever he needed to exist. Eventually, he went back to school online just to get some knowledge about the area of work that he's doing. People like Andrew Mwenda, because he's very smart or intelligent, he does exams for these people. Even Muhoozi, I understand, people like Andrew Mwenda are existential because they helped improve or give inside knowledge or educate these people from behind the scenes. Okay? It is possible, Donald, Dorinda, Sunset, she mentions the new Chief Justice. Who knows? It is very likely. We are now going to have to question everybody who has taken up position or taken up roles by appointment, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they qualified for it. Ugandans go to school strenuously, very difficult circumstances, lack of money, school fees here and there. You bear the storm, you go through, parents suffer educating children, you end up finishing university, and then you go and sell on the street. Because these high offices are occupied by these failures. These people who were just given a paper, a documentation off the press of certificates that they have no idea how these areas function. It is no wonder most of these ministries fail. Most. Imagine giving a doctor's certificate to somebody who has not gone to medical school. Do you wonder why people die of malaria? Or simple conditions? This is what they've been doing. Petroleum, they have certificates just so that they can get paid. That is why we have not taken off with petroleum extraction or refinery. People who are just placeholders so that they look like they know what they're doing and get paid. They are promoting their generations. They are promoting their offsprings. Whether or not they're qualified, that's the least of their worries. How dangerous is that? So anyway, with Janet Museveni coming off that high horse, all these people are going to disappear. CJ Muyingo, he was my headmaster once at Namugongo. People like Admakerere, who also were part of this scheme. People who work for UCE, UACE, all of them part of this scheme. All of you, because you have so much, you know so much, and you could tell all these people, like somehow now we know about the Winnie Byanyimas, they all have to be done away with. All the heads of institutions who are used to document this paperwork have to be eliminated. These people don't care about you. Trust me, they don't. Parents, yes, Navas. Parents do everything to get their children through school. Compared to, for example, in America, once somebody is 18, you kind of fend for yourself. So we know how hard it may be for somebody to start living on their own. But in Uganda, where I come from, parents struggle with their children and don't leave them alone until they finish university, and very, very, very difficult circumstances, very challenging. So we have to take back institutions like these. And maybe some of the first resolutions that will come when our president, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, comes to take office. All of these things have to get overhauled. All of them. We have to have references. Now, that also makes sense that they burned Makerere about 2 years ago. They set that office, or that place where documents were stored, ablaze. Do you know that that has been a tactic for a long time of Museveni? You know the house or the place where Rwandi's refugee documents were stored in Buganda, Bulangi, was also burned down? Now you know that they're burning evidence because they don't want to be discovered. They don't want to be discovered as those people who came as refugees, so that we don't identify them. But slowly, we are getting there, and we will get there. We have so many people who have lived that long with credible information. And some of them are even spilling the beans. You know, while they talk among themselves, the satellites that we have are catching this information. While they chat, all these facts cannot be made up, because soon you will see them. And these are captured when they speak. Janet has cried many, many times saying, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm tired of people calling me a P2 dropout, because she truly is. And we have to talk about it. So she's upset about that, and she's tired physically. You know, she has all kinds of conditions. Her legs are swelled up every day that I see her. If she's not wearing a maxi dress to the floor like a wedding gown, somehow she's in the longest possible clothing to her legs or up above her knee, her ankles. She's sick. That is a sign of sickness. She's tired. She needs to rest. But because they've wound themselves so strongly against this evil practice, they can't undo it. And it's not easy, even if they try. Look at Bamuturachi. She was just one, and she has spilled all these beans. So slowly we're discovering and uncovering them, and we're getting there. It gets better every day. Okay? So back to the UPDF. I think I've finished with Romushana and having people going into the oil industry. You wonder why Ugandans don't go into petroleum and oil, right? It's because the fake certificates are given to only their people. Do you also know that State House receives, as a matter of, and I've been part of Uganda politics a little bit. Many of you know that I'm actually the ex-wife of the late Jacob Oulanya. I know for a fact that there are tons of scholarships that countries from different parts of the world offer to Uganda at the State House of Uganda, to give them a chance to take on some students for free. Do you know that all those scholarships go to Rwandese people? You can tell me how many Ugandans are out here on State House scholarship? Not many. All those scholarships are given to their Rwandese children and children's children. And if they're going for higher education, they can make more of the other certificates of lower level of education just to get these people out. Countries like in Europe, the US, China, Asia, everywhere in the world, maybe the Arab Emirates, anywhere in the world, countries with mutual relationships give each other good faith, good graces. Hey, I have 10 scholarships for your students. Send me your best students. All those are sent of Rwandese people only, not Ugandans. Our poor Ugandans, after struggling so long to finish university, we end up on the streets doing boda, selling tomatoes or whatever in the markets. People of great intellect are in prison. People like Waiswa Mufumbiro, an intelligent human being. Why is he in prison? Because he speaks truth to power. That is how these people operate. So their intention was to water down the education system for Ugandans, but promote their own. But it's time, since she's stepping down. They plan to put Natasha. Apparently, when Natasha found out that we knew about that move, she's hesitant. But I know for a fact that when things change, which is going to change soon, none of them will be useful. None of them will take up that position. None of them. They will all leave our country in peace. I have one other part to talk about, the UPDF. I talked about them being poisoned. I'm going to go through this quickly because I think I already talked about most of these, but I may have rewritten them. So, of the 20 UPDF people who were poisoned at Teresita, at the event that Museveni set up for the armed forces, I think they have it every year. Of the 29, the next operation is going to be to send them to, Museveni is going to invite all these historicals or the 0013 or whatever of the 3 numbers and 4 numbers. They're going to call them up to a refresher course. A refresher course meaning they have to do their physicals, they have to be fit, their health has to be in good shape, mentally they have to be capable, their vision and hearing and all of that has to be good. In the event of doing that, he's going to test these people that he already poisoned, okay? And because they're not going to pass by virtue of what they've already eaten, taken as poison, he is going to send them away, to release them from the military, saying, you guys are not qualified enough. Because remember, he's regrouping the military for his son, Muhoozi, to take over power after him. Even if they know that there's a high likelihood that that will not happen. They are now regrouping, so the 29 plus who have been poisoned will not pass that refresher course for one health reason or another. They will all eventually be laid off and replaced by Muhoozi's group, the Rwandese, the SFCs, those people that he keeps training, the ones who brutalize Ugandans day and night. Those types of people are going to be brought in, and the old brigadiers and so on will be eliminated. Okay. The same people at Sunday's, I understand the gentleman who has replaced Sunday, the next one under him was actually seen on the scene when Sunday's life was ending. His name, I have it somewhere. But that gentleman was indeed on the scene while they were trying to get him, while they were not trying to get him help. He was the one that reported that he's done to the Muhoozi people. They've taken his body. They took his body. Obviously, Museveni is a very ritual and witchcraft type person. They took his body there and they've done whatever they do. Hello. Sorry. My phone actually lost power, so I'm sorry about that. I'm back to finish the portion that I was about to get onto. This is still in regards to the UPDF. I mentioned, my last words were that the people that were the Rwandese who were part of Sunday's demise, one of them has been appointed to be the assistant of the gentleman appointed, the Ugandan appointed to take over his position. What does that mean? It means that the person who was appointed, the Rwandese person who is below this Ugandan person who is filling Sunday's shoes, holds all the power. So it is just ceremonial that they appoint this Ugandan person to replace Sunday, but it doesn't mean that his name is Bagonza. Bagonza is the Rwandese person who is the deputy to Kajumba. It doesn't mean that Kajumba is is the boss here. This other person who was seen in the killing on the scene of Afande Sande is going to be the boss of the whole thing. He's the one who will make decisions. He's the one in touch with the Muhoozi people. He's the one who is watching Kajumba to make sure that he doesn't slip up. Okay? Bagonza was seen around the scene, so I already mentioned that. They're eliminating, obviously, all these people to pave way for Muhoozi's presidency. I think that's that about that. Next one, we're moving on to Pastor Mukuye. I mentioned in maybe 2 of my last videos that Pastor Mukuye is being checked out for what he knows and how brilliant he is, and if he can influence the minds of Ugandans. It's evidential in the time that he was on television, where Muhoozi and Museveni actually set up the interview to have him at that event, and the questions that were asked to him were by those people just to test out how much crowd he can pull and how many people follow him and how much he can get trusted by people. They have seen that indeed Pastor Mukuye pulls a good crowd, and he's an intellectual, he's a brilliant young man, and so they've decided to set him up with 2 women. One of them is called Nava, and the other one is called Mbabazi, in pretense that they're coming back to teach Pastor Mukuye's folk, or people that he preaches to. They're coming to teach him or teach them about cooperatives. But essentially they're coming, Rwandese use their women a lot because they believe that they're very attractive, and that other people like Ugandans or whoever, the men are weak and they will fall for them, and somehow something will grow from there. So they've sent 2 ladies to him to talk to him, to come to his church, to talk to the people in the church, to tell them about life-changing activities such as cooperative societies that used to be, because they used to be successful. Museveni came to power and broke everything that was ever working for Ugandans. Nothing works anymore. All those cooperatives that used to be are no longer existent. Purposely, because they want to make sure that Ugandans do not thrive to be able to regroup, to have their country and run their country in their own, however they want. Okay. Another person who has been put on target is Brigadier General Nalweyiso. Museveni told his family that she's no longer adding value to the regime. Many of you know Nalweyiso, that recently she's been used to speak on radio or TV a lot. She recently said that Bobi Wine is running on his own. Nobody wants him. His home they're just protecting it as they protect any president. But I don't see these people in the homes of Mugisha Muntu or the peasant president or Jema president. Why are those people free to live in the country how they want, but Kyagulanyi Ssentamu cannot have his home for himself? Until today, the home has turned into a military barracks, which is a really, really sad truth. So Nalweyiso has been sent out to the media houses to come and just, she's tired also. She's much older. I think she's in her 80s or something. She's coming to just, sprinkle onto all the damage that's already been done, to try to turn people away from that, to try to paint Museveni as a good person and all of that. But as we know, the facts are out there and we're chasing them. Somehow we will get them. Somehow they will leave, and very soon. So Nalweyiso they have an expiration date for her. Apparently, she has been cited for elimination by Museveni and his family. They want to promote or front another woman to go to the media and be given a lot of money to run projects impacting people directly, because Museveni wants to go back to get back into people's hearts, because he feels like he has lost all of that. It used to be Museveni was like a small god. A lot of people believed in him. A lot of people liked him. He says Ugandans hate him, and he knows that for a fact. So he's going to bring a fresh face of a woman to replace people like Nalweyiso, because Nalweyiso will no longer be here in a few days or whatever. They will eliminate Nalweyiso. So anybody who's a family member of hers, let them know that she has an expiration date per Museveni and their family. These people, oh boy. Museveni assures these people that he's going to make Ugandans dirt poor. You know, when they say dirt poor is when you can't afford what to eat and you look in the dirt to try to find what to eat. That is what they call dirt poor. That you can't think of going to a place to find food because you don't even have the money to do that. So Museveni vows, because Ugandans hate him and that Ugandans did not vote him and Ugandans don't like him, he's going to make them suffer. That the person who will be making chapati on the streets will not afford to do that anymore because of the heightened prices of everything that entails making chapati. Because Ugandans have tarnished his name nationally and internationally. Museveni knows he looks as bad as the worst people that have ever lived in this life. So because of that, he's going to punish Ugandans by making sure that they don't have a livelihood that will make them proud or that they'll earn from their sweat. He used to be a darling and trusted partner of the Western world, and he's very sad that he has lost that, and he blames all of that on Museveni, on Ugandans for waking up. Apparently, us waking up is a problem. So he plans on major operations to make sure that Ugandans stay poor. And he's going to do this through the URA, heavy taxes, that's Uganda Revenue Authority, heavy taxes. He's going to do this through KCCA. They'll be sending people off the streets. Anybody who's practicing or selling or whatever, they're going to set up fees where you go to the market to sell, or tariffs on your stuff or anything that you have to sell that will cost you way too much so that you make losses and give up on trying to stay in business. He's going to use UNRWA, also the Roads Authority, to make sure that Ugandans are disgusted by trying to use transport as a means to earn a living. All those border people will be chased from the city. All those taxi people will be taxed heavily. They are going to reduce how many people travel in a taxi at a time. It used to be maybe 14. Now it's going to be 10 people in each taxi. I don't care if you want to pile up 15 people in the middle of the night. Not happening. They will only allow 10 people. And if you have more, be prepared to pay those taxes, because they're also going to have checkpoints like never before. Everywhere possible, they'll have checkpoints and shorter distances so that you just give up on this transport thing. Okay? That's their plan. That's what I'm telling you is their plan, but it could be otherwise because we have some things that are in the works right now. In the prisons, oh boy, 3 of the high-ranking prisons officers have been killed, are dead, and are in the fridge, but have not been communicated to the public. Museveni and Muhoozi and their people have killed 3 prisons officers, executives, and have them in fridges in places that they know better. Why? Because they've treated new prisoners or foot soldiers leniently. They've been kinder to new people in prison. And because when they give them orders to treat them horribly, they can't bear to do so. What they've done is abduct those 3, torture, and kill them and store them in the freezers where they know best. Maybe someday they'll talk about it, but they're not obligated to because they really don't care. They really don't care if you people want to know where your people are or not. Many people during the 2021 elections were killed and dipped in acid. They were. No history, no record, nothing. There's a gentleman that I heard about who used to own Speak Resort. You know Speak Resort in Kampala? This gentleman, when Museveni came to power in the 19 whatevers, when he worked for the Obote office first as a part of the military, Museveni was patrolling and seeing what areas he could get himself to, what assets he can acquire and how he can acquire them. As he skimmed while in the Obote's government, when he took power, he took on activities that he had planned and had seen and felt were in time to do. One of them was taking over Speak Resort. It is said that the owner of Speak Resort land, which used to be called Jaja Villas. Now, when you hear Jaja Villas, it is likely that this person is a Muganda. As you know, when he came, a lot of Baganda suffered from Museveni coming. Not to say that other regions did not, because all regions have felt Museveni one way or another. In northern Uganda, where I come from, 18 to 20 years of the LRA war. Mugisha Muntu, unforgivable general, was the general at the time that Acholi people were being killed. He ordered the steps of the military people who killed the Acholi people in northern Uganda with great humiliation. Great humiliation. I'm talking raiding schools like Abore girls, raiding a whole school of girls, raiding families. Some people were sodomized right before their children, wives, and husbands while they're watching, just to dehumanize them and humiliate them. They did that for so many years, and someone like Mugisha Muntu now runs up as an opposition of Museveni, and we don't question? No. No. This is why the opposition is all fake, except His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, and that is why they treat him with such evil, because they were hoping that they are done with people in the opposition. They were hoping that they won all opposition's hearts or won them to their side. It is why you see opposition people going on to NBS television at night and having these bogus talk shows and using big words like, what is this man with eyebrows crossing each other? What is his name? They go there because they're paid. They're comfortable. Even when they lose an election, they know this guy is going to feed them. One of the people who disappoints me the most is this guy of Jema. If you recall when the Arua incident happened, the Arua incident where Bobi Wine survived assassination and death thereafter, Bobi Wine has actually gone to campaign for that man of Jema, the briefcase political party. He's the president of the party. All the MPs are in him. All of the secretaries are him. All of the whomever belongs to a party is in that same Jema man. But I kid you not, during this recent parliament that's outgoing, this same man, okay, was the one used by Museveni to pass a bill or prepare a bill and pass it against the NUP party. Bobi Wine almost died because of this Jema guy. What is his name? Please, somebody remind me. Bassa Alirwa. Goodness. We loved Bassa Alirwa at the time. But that goes to show how fake the opposition is. Yes. John, thank you, Baptist. Mukasa Mbide. They go and throw big English on these platforms, okay? Last night he was saying something about a pendulum swinging, blah, blah, blah. Great. None of them hope and wish that things change because they prefer the status quo. That is why when Bobi Wine came, he hit them left and right, and they said, who is this guy? We have to do something about them. In fact, Kagame is disappointed that Museveni has not been able to take out Bobi Wine yet. He said, what are you doing? How can this small boy take on you like this? But let me say this. Every generation has its own gifts. And Bobi Wine is our gift. This generation will successfully beat Museveni hands down, without a doubt, because God gave them gifts that those other people previously don't have and can't challenge. Because according to Museveni, Bobby Wine should have his phone and he should be, and when he captures the Nup executives like Joel Senyonyi and Secretary General Louis Rubongoya and Nubian Lee, they should be able to dial Bobby Wine's number, and Bobby Wine should be able to answer and say, hello my people, how are you doing? Oh, I'm here, I'm in this place. That is according to the generation of Museveni. But our generation knows about burner phones, where you use it once and throw it away. It's untraceable, cannot be found, they can't locate where you are, and all of that good stuff. So in the meantime, while they reminisce in their old knowledge, we are making steps forward. We're making steps forward. I look forward to the Geneva address. But going back to this gentleman, Speak Resort land was owned by somebody called Paul Wamala, an orthopedic doctor. In fact, it is said that Paul Wamala was flown in at some point when Idi Amin had an injury and needed some orthopedic treatment, like a bone doctor, a bone orthopedic, I believe, yes. He was flown in to come and treat Idi Amin at the time. So, you know, in watching his assets and so on and so forth, eventually he moved back into Uganda to live and watch his assets, like retirement should be, which these people don't understand. Museveni leached Paul Wamala in acid. Until today, the people of Paul Wamala have never buried him. They don't know where he is. But when these people talk and joke around, when our satellites capture this information, we hear all of these atrocities because they tell each other. They tell each other jokingly, in a funny way. Like I said, when they're torturing Nup foot soldiers or Bobby Wine supporters, all these Rwandese soldiers are like an audience watching a show in a theater, watching a performance. They laugh while these people cry. When they're being punished, when they're using pliers to pluck their nails, these Rwandese people are laughing at how funny these people cry. So these guys are sick. They're sick. They're terrible people. Anything that anybody tells you that they've done, believe them. So the owner of Jaja Villas was leached in acid, and Museveni took over that land free and clear. Took it over, no questions asked, nothing. When he came into power, that land is now called, the hotel is called Speak Resort. It's one of their assets. That is how evil, cold-hearted these people are. So believe them when they tell you. When Muhoozi sends out tweets and says, I feel sad because we've only killed 22 people, he does mean it. Because that's how they live. These are the people who feed Muslims pork. Their only thing that they don't do is what these people enjoy belittling you about. All these Muslim clerics who go to State House at the end of Ramadan are fed pork. Prisoners who are Muslim who are in jail, by the way, I've heard that jails in Uganda look like mosques, because when it's time to pray, everybody turns to one direction. They face the east and start to pray. That is how many Muslims are in incarceration by the Museveni people. So all of us who are in the Arab world, some of you work for these very high-ranking people. Spill a secret in their ear. Tell them about how these Museveni people love or how they treat Muslims. Like cockroaches. Tell them. Because they don't know. When they make deals with the Museveni people, it's sick. I saw somebody in the UAE recently, Arab Emirates, making deals with Museveni. Why? He does not respect Muslims. One of the sheikhs who was abducted from his home, somebody remind me of his name. He was taken without questioning, abducted, taken away, put in a place incommunicado for days, tortured, and executed right in front of his family. They brought him back and executed him right before his wives and children. This is how sick these people are. I have so many torture stories that I can tell you. Sometimes I can't sleep when I've heard one of them. These people are sick and they won't stop. So spill the beans. Tell someone. Tell these people in these countries where Muslims come from how much these people are despicable. Because maybe that will help us, our Muslim brothers. Maybe that will bring some decency back. Because many of them who are prisoners will tell you that they're fed pork as soon as they're taken into custody in those prisons, just to humiliate them. That's why many prisoners come out feeling inhuman. Inhuman. Thank you, Musa. Yes. Diane, yes. Sheikh Shirib. They come out feeling they need their default settings restarted to say that you are a human being. Yes, you are the father of so-and-so. Yes, you are the husband of so-and-so. Yes, you are the son of so-and-so. Because they don't feel it anymore. And that is the goal of Rwandese. In Acholi, where they cut off people's mouths, ears, just to humiliate you. Imagine having your lips cut off. Do you know how dry your mouth can be for the rest of your life? There is a disease in northern Uganda called nodding disease. Nobody knows where it's from. It is likely that the waters have been poisoned. We are yet to test this disease and find out what exactly or where it stems from. But children are born with a disease where they have to hit their head on whatever is in front of. If she's cooking or he is cooking, he bangs his head on that whatever until the episode stops. They call it nodding disease because it mimics the action of what is going on until the episode stops. Some of them go for 10 minutes. Imagine a child before a fire going like this constantly. Some will die after the event. It's it. Do you know how many fathers have walked away? Many, because the disease cannot be explained. How many of those mothers are struggling just to put food in the mouth? If a mother has 3 of those children, do you think she can get anything done? No. Will those children ever go to school? No. Do you know the stigma of that woman and her family having those children? Everybody thinks that family has something going on. These children, the mothers are forced to tie these children to a string like a goat. Tie them to a tree so that the mother can go to the bush, to the garden, to dig and make some food for them. This is what people actually go through in Uganda, because they poison the stream of water along where the disease has caught people. There is a stream, and people who are sicker are along that stream. Okay? That is what these people came to do, these Rwandese people. They came to do. So believe them when they say that they are going to kill somebody. When they say they want Bobby Wine's head, it is true. When they say we will catch it, it is true. It is true. Muhoozi threatens his father that if he doesn't become the president of Uganda, he's going to release all the videos of prisoners that they've captured. They do capture those videos. Recently, they released a photo of Mrs. Kyagulanyi Barbara. They released the picture of her being mistreated. They pride in such. You know, it's like the devil drinking blood. They enjoy it. So believe them when they say it is because they truly are that way. They are. I finished that. So there's three prisons executives who have been killed, and they're in the fridge somewhere. Muhoozi knows where they are. 50 prison wardens, 179 military officers, and 356 police officers who were seen voting for Bobi Wine in Muhoozi's fridge. Do you remember when the two gentlemen from Kenya came to support Bobi Wine during the beginning of sometime during the political during the election campaigns? Those two gentlemen speak about a fridge where a lot of prisoners, in fact they say the brother of Kahindo Tafire has been there for many years, and those guys say that those prisons are like mosques because of so many Muslims being detained there. In those prisons now, they have added 50 prison wardens, 179 military officers, and 356 police officers who were seen voting for Bobi Wine are in those fridges. So if you're looking for someone who is in the military and you can't find them, in the prisons wards service and you can't find them, or just in the police at large, they are possibly being detained or held by Muhoozi in his fridge. They're asking them, why did they support Bobi Wine? Because according to these people, any armed forces is not free to support any political party, especially not His Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, because they know the power that he holds and they don't want him to succeed. They could have voted FDC and that would be no problem. They could have voted this peasant party, that could be no problem. They could have voted Jema or Mugisha Muntu's party and that would be no problem. But because they voted His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, they are paying for that dearly. They're going to be taken to court-martial and eventually they will kill them. They're treating them as terrorists at the moment only because they elected Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Just that. You don't need a crime in Uganda as long as you support Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. You are a terrorist. You're a every crime in the book, including what's that crime for espionage? All of that is your crime. Trumped up, but those are your crimes. That is why the whole justice system is appointed by him, for him to do his deeds. And they report to his son-in-law, Karugire, who is his attorney. Everything is lined up around these people. And it'll take us a lot to undo, but we will. As a country, we need a full reset. Just like when you buy a cell phone and have to put in particulars of how you want that phone to operate for you, including choosing your language, choosing the region. We have to reset our constitution back to what it used to be when it worked for everyone. We have to clean up all ministries. We have to clean up, yes, thank you, John. Treason is the crime that everyone now is, accused of treasonous activity. We are going to have to reset Uganda like we reset phones when we buy them brand new. Or like a child goes to school in nursery and learns the alphabet, learns the vowels, consonants, learns the ABCs, learns how to sing. That is what we have to do when Bobi Wine comes to his presidency very soon. It is unfortunate. Everything that you can think of has been ruined. The gains that they speak about are their personal gains. Personal gains. Nothing for Uganda. As you see, he still vows to make sure that Ugandans are dirt poor. In the barracks, as you know, there were no polling agents for NUP because, like I said, the military or the armed services is a partisan service only to Museveni and his family. They are not free. Despite being Ugandans with a will, they are not free. They can't vote for anyone. So these soldiers, the 179 military officers and the 356 police officers and the 50 prisons wardens who are in Muhoozi's fridge right now, their only crime is voting for His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and being profiled as supporting him somehow. All of them are in Muhoozi's refrigerator, the fridge that the Kenyans described. Ministry of Health. I'm almost done, so don't worry. It's been a long day. I had these for 2 days, so I built up quite a bank of information here. The Ministry of Health, listen, led by Jen Ruth Acheng, who has also been appointed by Muhoozi to be one of the executives to manage his fund. Apparently Muhoozi, who has never worked a day in his life, who is a purported general and a drunk, who is appointed by his father to CDF position, who has lived for 50 years and most of his 50 years being supported by his father, living in State House rent-free, has a fund. Where do you think that comes from? Obviously, Ugandan assets that are sold without being publicized, such as the minerals and all the money that they take from the Bank of Uganda, the Central Bank of Uganda. All that money is personal money. It's not money for any Ugandan. So anyway, he now has a fund, apparently, that is going to come out and start distributing money to Ugandans, this Muhoozi person. Jen Ruth Acheng, who is the Minister of Health, has been prepared to pronounce or announce a major disease outbreak that they have manufactured. Actually, today in the Monitor newspaper, I saw a publication about anthrax. I don't know if that is the disease that they are talking about, but it's likely there may be others in the works. Anthrax is a disease that comes from, if you do some research, it comes from animals or animal husbandry or from the soil because of the animal feeds. They feed from the soil, and so the disease it catches the respiratory system and then is transferred from person to person. There are signs that you can look for, such as darkening spots on the skin, just so you know. But these people are so desperate that they can engineer any disease possible. Museveni till today wears a mask. His whole family wears a mask because he prays that something comes back that's deadly. Besides covering their old faces, they wear masks to cover the shame that they live through every day. To the fact that even when Muhoozi speaks and praises the peaceful election process on January 15 and around that time, he cannot look Ugandans in the eye. None of them can face the cameras straight without blinking and say whatever they have to say, because all they're saying are lies. So many efforts have been made by Museveni and his family to try to create a virus or some kind of disease that can affect Ugandans as a whole so they can put them back on lockdown. Museveni's preferred governance is with Ugandans on lockdown and dirt poor, which is something that they're striving to do. So any day now, there will be an announcement of something going on. Also, Jen Ruth Acheng has a plan to immunize Ugandan children with sickle cell vaccine. I'm from the medical field. This couldn't be any more stupid. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic condition. It takes a perfect match to make 100% between both parents for a child to be born sickle cell anemic or with the sickle cell disease. That means not all Ugandans carry enough aggregate of sickle cell that them and their husband or wife will produce a sickle cell baby. So this sickle cell thing is just a facade, because what they're intending to do is to inject babies with the HIV virus. I have a video which I'll share again about how when Museveni came to power, he used the tool of HIV virus to kill a lot of prominent Uganda or successful Ugandans who were doing really well. Many in northern Uganda were injected when they went for treatment with HIV virus, and they got even sicker to die. Many soldiers at the time were given the HIV virus, and then they passed it on and spread it on, and many of them are gone. So in this guise of vaccinating Ugandans with sickle cell vaccine, which is not okay, they're going to be giving those babies HIV virus. It is the government's policy to inject 80% of people of Uganda with HIV. Most HIV is gotten through needles these days, not sexually transmitted like it always is. That still happens, but not always, because they've devised an easier way for them through needles. Many prisoners will come out and tell you that when they were in prison, they were injected with certain things that they don't know. Many prisoners come back HIV positive because in their hopes that these people will be gone in a few years, because they have the power to hold medication that maintain people who have HIV virus. And so without medicine, people will just die. They still inject people with HIV virus like they did in the 90s and the 80s. Okay? Posturing. This is another area now that we're going to. With efforts to try to clean up their image on the Western world or on the international platform, they are going to posture things, to put things in place to show, like the EU Parliament, for example, that they're making the adjustments that were required in the bill that passed, in the vote that passed day before yesterday. What they're going to do is they're going to assemble police and military and JAT officers, showing that those were the people who were indeed the ones who committed the atrocities on January 15th, around the time when the internet was off. They are going to get, obviously Ugandans, you know, they are going to parade them as the people who beat up people and killed people during the election period. But we all know that Museveni got militia from Suluhu in Tanzania, Kagame, and some from Central Africa, sorry, not West Africa, Central Africa Republic. Those were the people who came and beat up people, including some Ugandan. Of course, the Rwandese were there. But those are the people but now they're going to parade Ugandans who are in the police, military, and JAT, and all the other offices, to sacrifice them for prosecution over international pressure. They are going to sacrifice them as the ones who committed those crimes, so that the international community can release some pressure on them. Okay? Because of the European Union address. They're going to parade them in military courts, take them, bring them, you know how they come, they do that. Oh, the judge is in the bathroom. Oh, the judge is not here today. Oh, come back next week. Come back 3 months from now. Something's going on. They are going to do that with full media attention. Full, okay? That is going to be blasted all over international. You know, because right now, Museveni has banned all media in Uganda from publicizing or from showing the EU plenary or the event at the EU where the bill about the discussion about Bobi Wine took place. All media houses, unless they want their license taken away, Museveni said none of them should speak about the EU event. So none of them are. But when it's time to cover this falsehood, they will all be ready with cameras to do that. They plan to use the statistics of those people who they are going to assemble and put forward after they've been brought to martial military court and treated whatever, given their crime. He's going to use those statistics to try to clean up as accountability to the European Union. Remember, I said one of the conditions that are required with this vote is that Museveni gives accountability of what happened around the time of the election while cameras or while the internet or cell service was off. So these military people that are going to be paraded that they're the ones who did these things are the same statistics that they're going to send to the EU to satisfy that requirement, that they're the ones who committed the human rights abuses at that time. They are also suggesting or thinking about arresting Muhoozi in a fake way. They are going to arrest him, ruffle him, put him in prison in a jail cell, which he probably won't last 5 minutes. They'll get him through the back door back to State House to his comforts, for public display, just to look to harmonize, and that is also going to be publicized and blown out of proportion by media to show that, oh my goodness, he has done it to his own son. This man is changing. No. It's going to be just for show. It'll last just a moment. So while Muhoozi is being held up, they will take him to court. Witnesses will testify that it is the dead generals. These people that they've been parading will be killed, okay? The ones I mentioned that they're going to show that they're the ones who did these things will be killed. So somebody will come and testify while Muhoozi is being held and say, no, it was not Muhoozi. I saw Junior, Sam, John, Susan, those people who were brought to court. I saw them with my own eyes. They're the ones who committed these atrocities. So then they'll let Muhoozi off, like they did Amama Mbabazi. Who remembers Amama Mbabazi saga? After him and Museveni, same thing like Mugisha Muntu. Eventually, their foolishness ends, and Ugandans are lied to, and we believe them. Many people believe that Amama Mbabazi was legitimate, but you just saw his wife run for office. Amama Mbabazi was never touched or scorched. Nobody of Amama Mbabazi was mishandled. But Bobi Wine cannot breathe in Uganda. A man who has no knowledge of gun usage. Never. Amama Mbabazi came from the bush with Museveni. But he ran alongside Museveni, and Museveni felt safe with him in the opposition. Fake opposition. That should tell you that we are done with all these people and their fake opposition. Our only person is His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Museveni has stopped all media. I did that already. Salim Saleh, I feel like Salim Saleh is the more dangerous, the more cantankerous of them. He likes dubious activities. Okay, evidently. So apparently Salim Saleh, Kaihura, same group, they would like vehicle and boda theft to start, courtesy of Damulira and Kaihura, with the advice of Salim Saleh that they should resume vehicle and boda theft, meaning that people who are boda riders may be parked somewhere and go into the bathroom or whatever. You come back and find your boda gone. People, taxi owners, you finish whatever you're doing, or they could just come and take your vehicle anyway. So they want to resume those activities because they need those vehicles and bodas to be used in South Sudan. So anybody who loses any of these assets, bodas and vehicles or taxis or whatever, will never see them again because they're sending them to South Sudan. Okay, that's their plan. But this will cause a lot of fear because some of those boda owners will be killed on their boda. Some of them will be hit, or some of them they'll use machete. Some of the people in the taxis will be killed very scary way, so that people are discouraged from trying to travel to get to places. Another thing also, part of Makerere University land has been sold to Chinese people. They want to build and construct laboratories, hospitals, and also a production factory for hospital equipment. Okay, Museveni was paid billions. As you know, his government is failing because 1, he doesn't have any more secrets. 2, he has no money. That's why he's trying so hard to come out and try to paint himself cleaner so that he can get money from the Western world. You are hearing a lot about negotiations, and that Bobi Wine should come and work with Museveni. We are not going to do that because of these very reasons. We cannot negotiate with somebody when our side has lost so many lives and those lives have not been accounted for. We cannot work with the government with a cheated election. Byabakama has not come out to clean up from the video that was taken from the system, the Electoral Commission page, while he was reading the election. His voice is recorded, switching numbers for Bobi Wine and Museveni. He exchanged the winnings. So whatever Museveni is said to have won with, those are Bobi Wine's numbers. That in itself has not been clarified. We have people who have gone missing for a very long time. Nabanja says he has Chivalama. We need that accountability. We need those 18 people back before we can work with Museveni, or even think about whatever the negotiations are that they're talking about. Bobi Wine's home is still under siege. Why would you negotiate with somebody like that who does not believe that you should exist? Has Bobi Wine asked for negotiations? No. If anybody should ask for negotiations, it is not the other people who ran against Bobi Wine. It is not any other party. It is supposed to be him. Why are other people making Bobi Wine negotiate or trying to say he should? For that reason, it's not happening. Museveni has never held any agreements in the past. You can see that even Mao failed in his efforts to transfer power. Sijui nini nini he was saying when he went to work for Museveni. Whatever his agreements are, Museveni never honored, which he never honors. So he will never have a negotiation with Bobi Wine. It's never going to happen. Can we reverse roles with Museveni going through what Bobi Wine is going through, and Bobi Wine take over the White House, the State House, and we see if Museveni will want to negotiate with Bobi Wine? Can we do that fair trade? All of you people saying he should negotiate, can they trade places just for a moment to see if indeed the Museveni camp will want to negotiate with Bobi Wine? Despite everything that's done, everybody that's gone, everybody that's been killed, everything that has happened, do you think, being in Bobi Wine's shoes, Museveni would actually offer to negotiate with Bobi Wine? I don't think so. Ugandans in general are tired of Museveni. Negotiation or not, we don't want Museveni in Uganda. It is done. We don't want Museveni, period. All Ugandans do not want him. So negotiation or not, or whatever the case might be, we don't want a negotiation. We don't want to work with Museveni's government, because in his government is where people are dying daily, is where he decides who lives and who doesn't, is where he decides to finish Ugandans as a human being, is where we still have people in prisons with no crimes committed. Why would we negotiate with somebody like that? That will never happen. People like Mwanga Chivumbi, where Museveni sent people to come and shoot up his home, this person is held in reverse. Why would we negotiate with somebody who has such mentality? All of you, Mukasambide and on and on and on and on, Andrew Mwenda, there's no such thing as negotiation, because you can't negotiate with unfair cards. If we had fair cards and they had, and we had the same cards, that, you know, our people are not dying and all this suffering that Noop has gone through and still going through, maybe there would be room to negotiate. But we're being crushed by this idiot. We cannot negotiate. It's not a level playing field. Impossible. We can't. Realistically, you interreligious council, or you elites, or you whoever is being sent to go and ask for negotiations, it is not a leveled playing field. There's no room for negotiations because it's impossible. So many questions unanswered. So many circumstances involved. And one is oppressing the other consistently. What does that make that make sense? Impossible. And why is it Bobby Wine that you want to negotiate with? Why don't you people just go on and negotiate your own deals with Museveni? Why must Bobby Wine come to negotiate with Museveni? Why? Why? There's nothing Museveni could offer him that is good enough. We want our seat. We want the presidency. Bobby Wine, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is the rightfully elected president of Uganda. Period. We don't want to negotiate to be under Museveni, because that is what he means by negotiation. Even in his negotiation, in his mind, Bobby Wine should work under him. Do you see how evil that is? We do not want a negotiation because His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu won the election fair and square. And there is proof everywhere. I'm talking online with Byabakama's voice. I'm talking DR forms. I'm talking people. I'm talking videos. I mean, documents. Even testimony from soldiers. Even some people who, I can't even mention their names, but leaders, people in high places in Uganda say this was the most sham election they have ever lived through. This one was the most sham. So, negotiations, impossible. Zero possibility. Zero. Zero. It is not a leveled playing field. And it's not Museveni to call for negotiation. And we are not going to work under Museveni. It is His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu who deserves the presidency. And we're coming for you, Museveni. You and all of your cronies. We're coming for you. Thank you, everyone. That was long, but I hope we got to chat and feel better. Don't lose hope. Please don't. As you can see, a lot is happening. Stay tuned for the Geneva conference that our president will be speaking. We'll get a lot out of there. I'll bring you some more news tomorrow. Stay well, stay hopeful, stay focused. Do whatever you can do with what you have, wherever you are. I promise you, anything is powerful. Anything you can do is powerful. Even if it means uplifting the next person. Give hope. Hope, life without hope is dead. Give hope to someone else. When someone calls you and they're down and sad and worried, give hope to them. Treat our armed forces with respect and dignity. Give them a few shillings. Treat them well. Offer them help, whatever they may need. Because their heart is hurting. They're just being forced and they're fearful. That's the end of our session right now. You all have a great morning, night, afternoon, evening, whatever the time is, wherever you are. I love you and be well. Hello. Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Lady Winnie. I am back today to chat a little bit again. Today is February the 24th. Happy Valentine's Day. It is a big day for most. It's a day we celebrate love. Unfortunately for some people, it is a painful memory because they've lost that person in one way or another, especially those in Uganda. Our comrades who have gone to rest and have left behind loved ones, obviously by violation from Museveni. We hope that your tears will be somehow rewarded or punishment to those who have committed those crimes. We have a few things to celebrate this week. Besides Valentine's Day today, happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's, Jeff. Happy Valentine's, Dorinda, Sanyu, Atim, welcome. Welcome. Thank you guys for attending. I appreciate your presence. I know it takes a lot. You give up so much to be here. So I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to be here. We have a lot to celebrate. One of the things is the birthday of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Oh, I love you too, Dorinda. Thank you. Today we celebrate, a few days ago we celebrated the President, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's birthday. Big deal. I know that he lives for today because tomorrow is not promised with those evil people in government. But we're lucky he's here. We celebrate his tenacity. We celebrate his strength. We celebrate his wisdom. We celebrate him being someone like no other. Okay? We have seen oppositions in Uganda. Many embellished. Many who are former president's children, who are whatever the case may be. Those who were generals before, Mugisha Muntu, a whole general, was in the bush with Museveni, came to work with Museveni under his government, eventually decided to join opposition, but obviously a fake opposition. Can you believe Kyagulanyi only has his words, but he's so feared by Museveni, but yet Mugisha Muntu, General Mugisha Muntu commanded the LRA, or he was on the side of Museveni during the LRA war in northern Uganda. He commanded the LRA war in northern Uganda. But this man ran against Museveni with Bobby Wine, who has no weapons, just his words. But Mugisha Muntu walks freely without any of his party members prosecuted, without any of his party members being refused from attending gatherings, without any of his party members ending up in jail. And you have never heard that Mugisha Muntu's anyone or party member has been arrested or has been killed by Museveni. What does that tell you? This tells us that obviously for a very long time since Museveni came to power, he has been having fake oppositions, people who present as if they are in the opposition so the Western world can think, oh yeah, Uganda is a democracy. Museveni allows for other parties to exist alongside him. And so therefore we can work with him. He's a good person. Therefore, anybody who claims he's not is Ashraf. Hello. Anybody who claims that he's not, obviously those fall on deaf ears. But now, with the coming of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, who we celebrate very, very much, we highly respect you. You have shown us truly what the fake opposition used to be. That everyone who was in the opposition was fake and working for Museveni. I say this respectfully, but I include Besigye. Many people will think, oh no, that's not true. Well, Besigye was Museveni's doctor in the bush. Okay? He was in the bush with Museveni from the time they started their whatever they were doing, trying to occupy Uganda and all of that. Granted, he's Ugandan. But get this. How come they were with Museveni in the bush? I'm speaking Besigye, you can include Mugisha Muntu. They were in the bush. They did not know that Museveni is not Ugandan, or they never spoke about it when he first came. Besigye has run alongside Museveni for at least 20 years, from what I remember. They did not know that Museveni is called Tibahaburwa. That is something that Professor Lumbuye recently, when he started speaking, unraveled. He found out that Museveni's real names were Tibahaburwa. Eventually, Museveni agrees and says, oh yeah, that's my name. He goes through his fake court system, obviously, Karujire and so on. His attorney, they get his name changed. But that has only been in the last maybe 7 to 8, maybe 10 years at most. So we have a general who was running alongside him, who is free, who got really very few votes, who does not have even 20 members of parliament running for office, but the so-called general who commanded the LRA war, which almost finished the Acholi people, is free, but Bobby Wine is not. His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, he cannot breathe in Uganda. His home, be it he's there or not, is not free. His wife, Mrs. Barbara Kyagulanyi, is assaulted. Okay? This is somebody who is not even 50 years old. This is not somebody who was in the bush. This is not somebody who was with Museveni somehow. This is not somebody who is military trained. We are talking about, could be my brother, could be your brother, someone from the ghetto. I mean, if he knows anything about hurting anybody, maybe he has heard about a machete. He has never killed anyone. But this is the person who cannot breathe in his own country because he ran as an opposition leader. Opposition in Uganda. That tells you that the rest of them are not in the opposition. They are invited by Museveni, funded by Museveni, instructed by Museveni, given guidance by Museveni on how to behave, so that they can maintain Museveni in power and winning continuously. Besigye gave Museveni how many wins? At least 4 terms, at least, and I can be wrong. More than likely is more than that. But let's say 4 terms, that's 20 good years of our life of this Besigye man running alongside Museveni as an opposition. You see him being pushed around. I don't know, he's been put in the car, you know what happened to Bobby Wine when he was arrested in Arua. Okay? He survived by the grace of God. Besigye's home is in Kasangati, in Kampala. Yes, he was raided and so on and so forth. They came and pretended and hung out around his house there. Couple of hours, they were gone. Maybe a day at most, maybe 2. But Bobby Wine cannot have a free campaign, has to wear a bulletproof, has to wear headgear to protect himself from being shot. His media person, Ashraf Kasirye, was shot in the head, okay? Many of his bodyguards right now are in prison. Eddie Mutwe has never wanted to be any, I don't know, not even LC1, okay? Eddie Mutwe doesn't even want to be, I don't know, a clerk. Anything mentioned the lowest political level, Eddie Mutwe has never aspired for. Achileo Chivumbi in prison. A crime just being beside Bobby Wine while Bobby Wine runs for elections. While Bobby Wine is not even running yet, they already picked them up. Before he declared, his bodyguards were already being picked up. People who support Bobby Wine are a major threat to Uganda, to Museveni. Major, major threat, to the extent that if they find your phone with the Kunga app, or they find you with just information in your phone that may not be, you could just have the colors of the Nup flag, the band, red, blue, and white. That alone will get you killed, okay? People like Frank Senteza. Frank was, just because he was accompanying Bobby Wine to an event, okay? Frank Senteza was run over by a military vehicle. There is not a day where Bobby Wine has gone to the streets, even if he's going to do his own things, that there's no police somehow informed and following and trailing and trying to hurt him. That goes to show you how powerful Bobby Wine is. And so, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, wherever you are, we are really proud of you. You are made of very special grain. You are an excellent challenge to Museveni. You are something he has never seen. And God hid you like Moses. Moses was put in a basket when Pharaoh was killing all boy children that were born. And Moses was put in a basket, floated over water, and ended up in the kingdom of the Pharaohs. And one of his daughters picked him up and raised him. Same thing happens with Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He grew up in Kampala. He's self-made. He had his music career. He owns assets that he never stole from anyone. He has been married to the same woman since he could remember. Okay? He has lived his life. His children are doing so well. You have nothing to blame him for, nothing stains his record compared to all the rest. They talk about Besigye, I don't know, did something with the maid or whatever. None of that is on Kyagulanyi. He is a spotless human being. Museveni has tried to incriminate him. He cannot perform, which is his livelihood. The only thing that he has been doing for the longest time has been music. Even that he's banned from doing. But let me just say, he grew up right under the nose of Museveni. In the ghetto, has learned all the ways of life. He started from nothing and built himself to something major. Okay? You can't touch Bobby Wine. You can't blame Bobby Wine. There's nothing to blame. You can't compare him and find fault. Okay? I am not saying that he is Moses. I am just saying, in a moment, in a country where anything could get you killed, anything could get you tainted and blackmailed, Bobby Wine has none. So, His Excellency, we celebrate you, we love you, we believe in you, and we will not stop working with you because we know your heart is in the right place. Happy birthday, and I hope you had a great day. Okay? So moving on, the next big win that we have is the European Union Parliament. As we saw day before yesterday, they had plenary and they discussed Uganda. We want to thank mainly Dr. Nico. He lives in the Netherlands. He has been a huge supporter, friend of Uganda, and fighter for democracy and exposing Museveni. In the Netherlands is a woman who is the ambassador of Uganda to the Netherlands. I know her very well. Her name is, I think, Mariam. She is born in the Netherlands, but she's let's say Muzungu. She was married to a military person from Uganda before, a long time ago, and he passed away. This woman now works at the UN, and she has made sure anything that comes up in Uganda is swatted away and is not heard about. So people like Nico are there and have pushed through such apologists of Museveni to make sure Ugandans' voices are heard. Dr. Nico, we thank you very, very much. I believe you know who that person Miriam is. I'm going to post her picture on my page. I know her. I've met her personally. And so she works in Geneva at somewhere, I think in the UN, or one of those offices where if a report comes against Museveni, she finds a way to make sure it disappears, or she smoothes things around so that it is not, any discoveries are not made, no investigations, and it's forgotten about. That's how Museveni has thrived. He has hidden people in different places to be able to hail him and swat any complaints or voices that come from Uganda showing negativity. That's how come since the 1950s, when Museveni started doing these things, okay, before independence, Museveni was already attacking Uganda and attempting to get in here. And so he has planted people in different places to try to clean up his name, mop it up, clean it up, so that the Western world is fooled. Okay? For a long time that worked. Not anymore. Not anymore, because we have shared very much information. Thanks to satellites, thanks to social media, thanks to individuals like you, you know, who every day strive to make an effort to bring about change. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we had a big win. There was plenary where there was about 500 and I think maybe 530 people, 500 and something. 514 voted in favor of Bobi Wine. In favor meaning that everything that the claims that were put in about what happened in Uganda, the videos that were filed, the reports that were sent, the voices that were sent, all those were looked into, investigated further, and gave these people information, the members of the EU Parliament, information to be able to come to a decision. So because of all that, everything that was shared, especially about the election, 514, okay, voted in favor of Bobi Wine, and only 3, I'm thinking those are Museveni's people, just a few. It's possibly Museveni's, I don't know, whoever he plants out there. Only 3 voted for Museveni. So that is how I'd like to explain it to help us all understand where we are. 514 for Bobi Wine and his cause, and our cause and our voices as Uganda. Only 3 for Museveni. That really means that we've made headway. The world now knows, the EU Parliament, which is consistent of 29 countries in Europe, now know about this man, okay, and all the atrocities he has been committing, all of the documentation. This also opens the ears of those concerned in the right places, like the ICC, to start gearing up and looking into information, because the EU is an important parliament in Europe. Some of them also work for the ICC and so on and so forth. This will help us get things moving faster. Hopefully there's a red alert for Museveni. A red alert means that when you find him, catch him, hand him over. When you find him, report, and he'll get picked up. So we are hoping for a red alert to come from this, for him, his son, and everybody else that was part of the atrocities that have happened in Uganda during the elections of this year, January 15th, 2026. So that's a huge, huge win. I want us to celebrate that. Also, I believe today, and it may be happening, there is our president, His Excellency Jacob Oulanya will be speaking in Geneva, either on the 18th or it may be going on. But that is also another way of exposure about what has happened in Uganda. So we look forward to that. We hope for that to be the case. This platform hosts a lot of people from different parts of the world and is listened to by a lot of people. So we're hopeful, we're excited that more of these avenues are opening up. We hope for more in the near future. And we pray that soon, these people who are killing Ugandans will be held accountable for what they're doing or what they've done. Okay? So here are some of the parameters for the vote in favor of Kyagulanyi Ssentamu or Bobi Wine. These are the requirements that Museveni has to make achievable right away. Okay? They voted on these issues. That Museveni has to end military trial of civilians. You know, people like Sanya in the beginning, when he was arrested from the last election that was stolen, you know, he gives himself a win and also gives sleepless nights to the second in position, according to Byabakama, because we know that Bobi Wine won both the 2021 election and the 2026 election. Right after winning, people are still getting picked up. People are still being killed. People are disappearing. All those things are still going on. Museveni, if you won the election, why are you still doing these things? What do you want Bobi Wine for? You and your son. What do you want him for? Okay? It doesn't make any sense. And it further shows to the world that all along, whatever you are doing is true. This is going to help the Western world go back to their notes and review and truly come to a point where, yes, Musa, thank you very much. The name is Miriam Black, the ambassador in Netherlands. That is the woman who was planted in Netherlands by Museveni. She works in the ICC. Also, she works with the UN. Dr. Nico is in the same country where she is. This woman makes every effort to derail every complaint that is filed against Museveni since history. She has been an ambassador for many, many years. Museveni doesn't even require her to submit credentials anymore to renew. She's just on automatic renewal. Why? Because her job is not ambassadorship. Her job is being a lobbyist for Museveni, swatting everything possible that is filed against Museveni. There is also a lobbyist country here in the US. I will find out what it is and I'll share it. I saw something on Dr. Kauma's page. He shared something about the lobbyists in the US. Lobbyists in different countries are used to help clean up Museveni's messes in Uganda. So let's say there's a complaint that is filed about political prisoners in Uganda. It reaches the desk of, let's say, foreign secretary in any country. What those lobbyists do is they come in and submit reports. Fake, falsified, possibly, very likely, because how can you present Museveni in a good way? There's no words to describe that man in a good way. None. So those lobbyists find a way, like attorneys. You know, when you have a lawyer, and even people who kill people have lawyers. Okay? Even if the lawyer knows that person did it, that is their job. Is to present this person in the best way possible and get a not guilty verdict. That is what these lobbyists are. So Miriam Black, I know her very well. I personally know her. Her job is not to be an ambassador. Well, that is one of her jobs. Her main purpose of being there with a renewed ambassadorship every time without a stop or re-credential is to help clean up Museveni's dirty work or name. That is why all along, any complaints filed by Uganda have not made headway. But now, it's a little too late. Everything's coming out. Thank you, Dr. Nico. You're in the same country, and man, are you pushing those walls. The other issue that the U.S. voted, the European Union voted to achieve immediately from Museveni is unconditional release of political prisoners. You're going to see in the near future how he's going to dance around these issues. He's going to pretend that he's going to release these political prisoners on his own accord. But no, this man knows what is chasing him. All this information has already been sent to him. He's aware. These lobbyists already sent messages the same night that this happened. They got copies of information right to him. So he's going to pretend like he's doing it on his own accord, which I'll tell you, I have a lot of information to share. So just bear with me. He's going to look like he's doing it, you know, being good or making the Western world think that he's just, he's appropriate or he's now cleaning up and looking good. But no, don't be fooled, because whatever he's doing to clean up, he is going to even kill and destroy more people. More people. Indigenous Ugandans in the military, in the armed forces, are going to be maimed for crimes they did not they did not commit. I will get to those points when I get there, but just keep that in mind. They've also asked him to have independent investigation into the killing and disappearance of people during the election period. Like I said in my previous maybe 2 videos, when the UN Human Rights Commission required him to submit a report on what happened while the internet was off, he sent a bogus report. Made up numbers, did not make sense. The videos we've sent are way more than what he claimed the number of people were killed. As we speak now, I think we're up to 3,000 people disappeared, killed, or missing, or in prison. About 3,000. Now, those 3,000 are only the documented ones. But remember, there are people who live in terror that will not even mention that their person was killed. Okay? If you do remember Chibalama was the journalist, I think he was a TV broadcaster, who joined politics. Did he join politics? Anyways, Chibalama's story is really sad. He was among the 18 people who have never been seen or heard from. Okay? Never been seen or heard from. But get this. Maybe 2 years ago, the Prime Minister, Namwandu, you know, I don't know where Museveni picks these people up from, but that woman is the most stupid person there is in such a big office, who is used and doesn't even know which direction, good or bad, things are going for her. She's just, I don't know. But that's how Museveni works. He uses those people because it makes him look like the only genius in the room. You know, he sits around all these idiots, all these political advisors or state house advisors or his presidential advisors. They're not there to advise him. They're there because he wants to take them away from potentially joining NUP, or if they're already in NUP, he tries to bring them close. But anyway, Mr. Chibalama disappeared in 2018. 2018, 2019. 18 of them. Nobody knows where they went. Whether they're dead, whether they were taken, because I understand they have a lot of gold mines where they take young people and forever work them to their death. They take people to work in their factories. I understand there are some factories in Kapeka. Some of them are in Liantonde. Some of them are taken to Congo to mine gold. Anyway, Chibalama's case is a mystery. Here comes Namwandu walking in and says she knows and has Chibalama. She did not have, whatever the case might be, probably did not have Chibalama, okay? Chibalama became such a heat, like a thorn in her shoe, because then we kept asking, where is Chibalama Namwandu? Eventually, it is said, and this is likely true, that Namwandu, because the wife of Chibalama kept asking and going to her office and sending questions and filing with police and checking all police stations in Uganda to find her husband. And she could not get a response. What Nabanja decided to do, a whole prime minister, she found mafias who went ahead and strangled Chibalama's wife. Rest in peace, soldier. Went and strangled Chibalama's wife. So Chibalama has children. Shortly after Chibalama disappeared, his mother could not take it. She passed on. Recently, maybe a month ago, Noop, as a party, attended the funeral of Chibalama's father. Chibalama has 2 children who now have no mother, no father, and no grandparents. How sad is that? Someone like Nabanja is a person who cannot escape the ICC. And because such reports have already been filed, this will go to show all these service providers of Museveni that alone you will have to account for what you have done. Nabanja, today and tomorrow we will ask and continue asking, where is Chibalama? You said you have him. You must produce Chibalama or you will not live in peace in Uganda, especially with the new Uganda. Everyone will be accountable individually in Uganda. If you're a police officer, if you're a military person, if you're a politician, if you are a local council, if you are an RDC, if you are a doctor, if you are a nurse, whatever you are, right now you work for Museveni. But when it's all said and done, this man is 150 years old, okay? He's not going to be here soon. This man is a moving target for the Western world right now. This man is a moving target for the ICC. All of you who are continuing to work with Museveni, it is a matter of time. You will be answerable. And we will have a government that will make you pay for what you have done. It is early for you to come on the side of the people and be on the right side of history and be recorded as such. But if you do not, you will face the music when the time comes. So anyway, so that's the next thing. They want Museveni to investigate or have an independent investigation to the killing and disappearances of all these people, including the people who were killed during the election, after the election, and currently, because reports are being submitted every day. Every day. The other thing is that Museveni has been tasked to impose, the European Union has requested that they impose sanctions on people responsible. So Museveni brought soldiers from different countries to come into Uganda during the election and commit his atrocities. I know this because a lot of people report people who were not able to speak any language that they understood. All they did was push and shove and hit and shoot. They looked different just by identity. They had different badges on them. So our assumption is that they came from Rwanda, obviously. Some of them came from Congo. Many of them from Tanzania. When I say Congo, I mean ADF and the other one, the one that Kagame's army and rebel group all in one. ADF and M23. They are all his mercenaries. Museveni and Kagame use those as rebels to attack themselves so that they can show the Western world that there's rebel activity so they can get money. I mean, this man is tactful, but it's over. This is the end. There's no more guesswork about who Museveni truly is. We have it down. Okay? So they're saying that they're going to impose sanctions on responsible people, which includes people like Muhoozi, You know, people like Nabanja, Museveni's whole government, obviously, Museveni's relatives, when they impose sanctions on somebody, like they did on Anita Among, the Speaker of Parliament, her husband cannot travel anywhere. Anybody who has kin to, or who is akin to Anita Among, cannot travel to any Western world country. They may be going to China because Museveni has relations with China, maybe North Korea. I guess that's fine. But they cannot go to places of the Western world because the sanctions are placed on them. Also included is their asset freeze. They do not have access to any of their buildings they had, their Swiss banks, you know, their offshore accounts, all of their real estate, all of that is null and void. So this is something that will help, because when they have to think twice about the losses they're making, maybe their hearts will change. Okay. The other thing is that they demand restoration of media freedom and internet access. So they want, recently the judge, what is his name? The new Chief Justice said, we cannot speak about, we're not allowed to speak about judges or councils or whatever. Well, the EU is saying that as part of the conditions, they must give internet freedom or media freedom to everyone who is willing, like me, and anybody else who speaks should be allowed to speak freely. One of the last option, the last requirement is accountability, not just statements from people or coming from the State House since 2021. They want accountability since 2021. Like I said, this that has happened now is going to give us room to investigate into history. So they're looking into history because our filings have been since before His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu came into the political scene. So all of that history is now being looked at. And so Museveni has to account. Since then, since before Frank Senteza, since Arua incident where Bobi Wine survived and his bodyguard was taken out, his driver was shot. Since before that time, all of everything that was filed now comes into action, under the microscope, has to be investigated. So they have to submit accountability. You know, when this type of accountability is not because those people in the UN or the ICC don't have information. No, they are just asking Museveni so that he can show that he can match the evidence we already put there. Tell me how Museveni can give, let's say he says only 300 people died during the election, but we have videos showing 3,000 people documented, dead, missing, in safe houses and all that. He cannot win this battle because as much as he used to forge information, he can't do that anymore. There's so much that has been piled and compiled that if he were somebody I knew, if I were Natasha, it would be time to say, you know what? Let's hang our gloves and go someplace else. But Museveni is waiting for what will come to him, and he knows it's coming. So good for him, because it is coming. Okay? I have a lot to talk about, so just bear with me. Museveni is obviously still looking for Bobi Wine. As you know, there are several stops that are being made, and people are being raided in the night in their homes, trying to ask and find if they know any whereabouts of Bobi Wine. It is futile because Bobi Wine is not in Museveni's generation. The way Museveni is attacking or trying to fish out Bobi Wine is not how Bobi Wine exists. It used to be that they would foot by foot try to trace somebody. Times have changed, okay? And if only they could understand that, they would know that they have failed at this and cannot succeed at this. Bobby Wine could be anywhere, and that's their biggest... I'm sorry, somebody called me. Museveni has been undressed in every way possible to the world to see truly what this human being is. Okay? So in your absence, unfortunately, a lot of what you have built has been destroyed, but we promise you in a new Uganda, we will make it up to you. Okay? But whatever you're doing is godly, is God-guided, and we know will be fruitful. So Museveni keeps looking. He has very many plans, as I'm going to tell you, about what he's doing or what he's attempting to do to try to capture Bobby Wine. There is a plan to abduct or capture 10 NUP, National Unity Platform executives. I am talking about leader of opposition Joel Senyonyi. I'm talking about Louis Ruvongoya, talking about Nubian Lee, talking about everybody that is in the leadership of NUP. Museveni plans on capturing them all at once and trying to stage them to see if each one to call Bobby Wine personally on their phone and see if Bobby Wine will answer and tell them where he is. I'm going to speak more about that point because I have further details later on somewhere. About the UPDF now, there's a lot to say about the UPDF. As you have seen, there has been a lot of killings. There was a general who recently was killed, but I'll get there. There's a plan by Museveni to prepare a transition for his son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, to take over the next government. In that, he wants his son to have a fortification. By fortification, I mean he wants his son to have soldiers who respect him. And now that he knows that Ugandans have an affection for His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Museveni is now trying to erase or get all Ugandan military to disappear. To disappear meaning to kill them. Some of them you have seen already. Deo Sunday was killed right at the Tare Sita event. What I mean by that is that, let me get to that, but let me describe this first. So anyways, the way he wants to do this is he wants to start with the top executives, the top military UPDF people. These are people who usually are the original soldiers who he came to power with. They are usually numbered from, they usually have 3 numbers, 001 or 002 or 003. And also sometimes they are labeled 004. So for example, the people who are resistance officers or ROs are usually 00 something. There are 3 numbers. And those who are RAs are 4-digit numbers. The 3 numbers are his people usually, including him. Museveni is 001. Okay? And then he places the rest. So RA are 00 with 4 numbers. Okay? So it could be 0001, whatever the case might be. 4 figures. People like Kahinda Otafire. Otafire is 0014. These are the older people who ushered him in, who came with him at the time that he was coming to take over Uganda. They did the Luwero War. They were fooled. They thought they were fighting for the real deal. They thought that they didn't know that Museveni was behind Obote's documented atrocities. They didn't know that they were fighting for Rwandi's occupation, even if they're indigenous Ugandans. Like Otafire is a Muganda. No, he's not a Muganda. He's Otafire. He's from the Western Uganda somewhere. Otafire is Western Uganda. But they did not know the truth. People like Kasirye Gwanga, who, rest in peace, is not here anymore. These are people who ushered in Museveni. But you can see that even them, they were given second base. Okay? Second base meaning 4 numbers. The ones who had 3 numbers are top cream, including Museveni and his friends and his best friends and his relatives and his Rwandese people. You won't find has infiltrated their hearts. Even if they may act tough, okay? They have a certain feeling and love for His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. And because of that, Museveni feels like they won't give full allegiance to Bobi Wine. Hence, their slow, poisonous efforts to destroy, eliminate, and kill these people. I will describe to you how Sunday was killed recently. Okay? There's another thing that I don't know if you guys remember when Bobi Wine or His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu went on a fundraising drive for NUP, and they set up stations where people were given receipts for helping or contributing towards National Unity Platform. The reason they actually seek contributions like this is something in the background, is that during this whole time that Bobi Wine is running, during this whole time, especially election time, all of their finances were frozen. Imagine how evil Museveni is. But you will not find that any of the other fake opposition's accounts were frozen. Everybody who was able and capable, obviously His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, they had no access to their personal finances. Just like they've seized his home now. They have seized all of his assets and finances and his real estate. Evidently, by turning it into a barracks now. So, this is when the drive started. If you remember, there was a receipt that was given to the military. They also donated. This is something that has disturbed Muhoozi and his father and Salim Saleh for the longest. They have been trying to figure out which people are those who gave Bobi Wine donations. And the receipt says to the military. It's perturbed them, and they're still further disturbed. In those efforts to try to find who is connecting with Bobi Wine, they've started killing those generals. General, the one who died before Deus, Twikiriza or somebody like that. He was actually, first of all, tortured before he died. After his torture, Twikiriza was taken to a military barracks where he had to stay to nurse his wounds from the torture. Twikiriza was not allowed to see his family. All the efforts his family made to see him were denied or rejected by the UPDF, by the Muhoozi people, because they order these people's steps. They did not accept them to see him. Even after Twikiriza died from his wounds and injuries, they still did not allow his family to open the coffin and see him. So they don't even know if they buried the real guy, let alone how and what condition he died. All they take from there is what they say happened to him. So what they say essentially is on the death certificate is what they will believe that their father or husband or brother or uncle died from. But imagine somebody who has not been sick, reported no illness, no weakness, no decline, all of a sudden is dead. That is how Museveni operates. The other thing, all officers, this goes to military or armed forces, all officers who play Bobi Wine's music, if you have it on an asset, like a memory or on your phone, delete it, because those are going to be ways they will judge you for supporting Bobi Wine, hence your disappearance. So they're hunting down, in fact, any driver or their boss who listens to Bobi Wine's music, vice versa has reported each other to Museveni and his people, and they're going to start hunting them down because they've all been profiled. So you have seen videos where there's some NRM people, there's some police officers dancing to Bobby Wine's music, or you know, listening to what he's saying and all of that. All those people have been profiled. Your driver may have reported you, or you reported your driver. Either way, both of you are in the military, and they're going to deal with you. They've started picking people up. There's several, I have numbers here of military people who are, or military or armed forces who are in detention because of suspicion of working with Bobby Wine. So if you have that music, put it away. Otherwise, help us cross the line, cross and come to the people's side, and help us get rid of these people, because you are not supposed to be his music. Imagine that. So be careful. Do the right thing at the right time. Join us. Come on, let's try to relieve to save our country from these people together. Work with us. We are peace-loving people. We will not judge you at this time. And maybe you can tell us how those things came about so that it's forgivable. Okay? It's not compulsory that you people, the armed forces, do what these people are asking you to do. If it is too much and your heart does not allow, quit, AWOL, or join the other people. We will protect you. I promise you. We will protect you and get protection for you any way possible. Just come out. That's all we ask. Okay? Sunday Deus, who died recently, was found with Bobby Wine's music, and that's why he was killed. There's also another plan by Museveni to kill all brilliant Ugandans who speak publicly on radios. Those who are brilliant, you know, there are some people that you listen to and say, wow, this is a great analyst of information. Okay? Even if they speak in different languages, they have already been profiled by people like Kasuku. Kasuku and his people are assets of Museveni and continue to profile people for these guys to take on or destroy. So he has been contracted, Kasuku, he has been given what he needs to do these things. So be careful, even if you speak at village level and your voice is what the people listen to or people believe in what you have to say. It is true that Museveni is going to try to do away with you people. Okay? So, Atuhaire. Yes, thank you. Gilbert Oulanya, you're very right. Thank you so much. People like the Gilberts, people who are on the media, on air, you know, people on like CBS or whatever channels, radio stations, televisions, even podcasts, local YouTube channels and things like that. If you are exposed, they're going to try to get rid of you. So be very, very, very careful. Very careful, because you've already been profiled. But listen, Ugandans, how much are they going to control us? Soon they'll say you can't breathe in until we tell you to. How much can they stop us from being what we want to be? How much? What is it going to take? Generals or people who are holding guns, why, if you're going to get killed like flies, okay, why don't you do the needful? Why don't you take care of these people somehow? I am not a violent, loving person, but so many people are dying every day. And why be a general? Why be the holder of the key to an armory? Why are you the one being sent to kill people, to do things you don't even want to do? Why don't you cross the line and come to the right side? Let your heart speak, and not these people ordering you, because you know what? When they're done with you, they will kill you. Let me tell you how Deo Sunday was taken out. So being a general, usually somebody polishes your shoe. You know, all of us who went to school, remember, you have to use kiwi on your shoe. You polish it to look nice and sparkly. So General Sunday had somebody who had to do that for him. As a matter of being a general, it is done for you. In his shoes is where they put poison. That poison in that shoe, that is the shoe that he was to wear to go to Tarehe Sita. He actually wore those shoes to Tarehe Sita. That event where Museveni celebrates the time he went to the bush or something like that. I mean, this guy is so old, we don't even care what he did then. So anyways, this man is wearing shoes that are poisoned all day at the event. It is also said that he was given other poison in other ways while at the event. So all day he's sitting there in poison. Anybody who's medically inclined, you know that your feet have the most pores in your body. In fact, if you want something healing to go into your body and get distributed somehow, which people use a lot with castor oil, you put it under your feet and it will reach everywhere. In fact, there's a massage which is done on your feet and it will touch every organ of your body. Or if you need wellness in a particular organ, that massage, okay, will reach that destination. So let's say in your foot, you have all the representatives of all your organs under there, the pores. This man sat there with all the poison under his feet and it just kept going to distributed parts of his body all day. And these people are watching saying, you know, it's working. The uptake is coming. It's going. It's going to get there. They watched him for so long until it was time to go back home after the event. Then in the vehicle, he started to convulse. Like have people who have epilepsy have that event. Started convulsing with saliva and bubbles coming out of his mouth. And just to show you how evil these Rwandese people are, they say that where Sunday was, when he started convulsing, there is a hospital or a clinic close by. But to show you how evil these people are, they took the long route, longest way possible, to make sure that he's gone or dead before they can drop him off or something. To show you that this shoe is very mysterious, when his family were burying him, his shoes were never to be found. Till today, the late Sunday Deos's shoes are not anywhere to be found. Because the poison came from the shoes, as they had said it, and this man passed away from having the poison infiltrate his feet, the soles of his feet, which is most porous, until he died in a one-day event. So all of you military people who are still following these instructions, especially the guy who has been appointed to take over his position, do you know that you're next in line? Any of you who wear a uniform, do you know that your expiration dates are with this Muhoozi guy? Kainerugaba? Do you know that Museveni orders your end and your life? Why would you even take up a position like this after knowing that this is what it did? All of you military people know that Museveni killed Lokech, okay? The lion of Mogadishu. So this guy can be a lion in Somalia, but Uganda can fail him? He cannot manage a simple accident of a fall or whatever they said he did happened to him. All of you are in line. If you don't see where you're headed, then you're blind. Because they want to eliminate all of you in military uniform or police to bring Muhoozi, the spring chicken, with his own army, and now is full of Rwandese. All Ugandan militia are at risk. All of you Ugandan police and military, your time is numbered. And according to how Museveni wakes up, if it feels like today is your day, you're gone. Do the needful. Join us. Please. We will protect you. You will feel at home with us. because we are home. Yes, Faith, it is true. Jacob Oulanya himself said that he was poisoned. It doesn't surprise me because he's an intellectual and he knew when things didn't feel right. Yes. Please, please, UPDF, AMA-J, please come together. Come to the right side of history. We love you and we care for you. They are finishing you. Come with us. The next thing I want to talk about is a very sad but a necessity to talk about. Many of you know who Rwabuogo is. Okay? Rwabuogo is finishing Ugandans. How so? Rwabuogo is in the business of selling internal organs. And in this, during this time of political opposition of NUP and this party, Rwabuogo's business has boomed. Guess why? Because every time they've abducted NUP people who are not documented sometimes, even though they're documented, they have taken them, those who have been killed, their organs have been harvested and sold to places like China, Japan, and so on and so forth. Rwabuogo is one of the main killers or reasons to kill Ugandans in Uganda. Nobody can tell you what Rwabuogo does to earn money. Can you point to it? Do you know any job that people like Muhoozi, who claims to have a fund today, and Rwabuogo do to earn such huge monies, to own all the arcades, all the hotels, I understand, in tourist locations are his? These people sell internal organs. They have places. Rwabuogo has a place in Kira. He has a lab and a theater in Kira. Theater, I mean a place where they do surgeries. In a complex in Bulindo, there are apartments. He has large fridges that are solar powered, where he stores these organs that are harvested from people. The organs are eyes, lungs, hearts, bones, teeth, liver, placenta, pancreas, skin, bone marrow. All that is for his business. That last family is evil. The son is killing people, Muhoozi. The son-in-law, Rwabuogo, is harvesting organs and killing people in the process. Museveni is killing Ugandans on order. Janet Museveni is killing education. The wife, okay? The daughter, who is supposed Christian, whatever, is preaching the wrong message to Ugandans. The whole family is part of a portion of destruction of Ugandans. Wake up, my people. I know you are. I shouldn't even say that anymore. So that is the business that Rwabuogo is involved in. He does have contracts with large hospitals like Mulago, all regional hospitals. Some of those posh hospitals or clinics, he has contracts with doctors. Anytime somebody needs to go to the theater, you know, they send SFC people to go and perform these surgeries. If you have good organs or whatever, they're harvested without your knowledge. You know, recently, maybe a year or two ago, there was a person who was arrested, taken into custody, and came out without a kidney, without one kidney. And he doesn't remember having an accident on that end. Nothing to point to why that happened. Because these organs are harvested and sold to Chinese people or Japanese people. Many of you know Chinese people eat placenta because they believe it makes them young or look younger, whatever the case might be. But in any case, why? Why are these people doing this? Yes, Polly, they do, yes. They use the Ugandan airlines to transport or have airplanes come from these varied countries to come and pick up and transport. Some organs go to the UAE. It is no wonder maids who go out to work in these countries, some of these countries, come up with organs missing, mysteriously dead, or organs transplanted to their bosses somehow. All this is in plan by these people to make money. How sick is that? How sick is that? So be careful when you go to places like that. The lab is in Kira, in a complex, in an apartment complex in before Bulindo. There are apartments that have solar with large fridges where they store these organs. He takes all these organs through Uganda Airlines and other airlines to build wealth. That's why these people like Rwabogo own all arcades. You know, they have all kinds of buildings and assets in Uganda and in Rwanda. Okay? Rwabogo and Muhoozi do not get along. In fact, they said that all trucks that go to Rwanda, Congo, and Tanzania are all for Rwabogo. You wonder where he got the money to even start a business like this. So be careful and be mindful, because people like these will not stop until we expose them and put a stop to it. I understand Rwabogo is being fronted by Janet to run for presidency because she doesn't like Muhoozi, because Muhoozi is not her son. But in any case, that is, you know, something that we really don't care about, because we want all of them out. We don't care who does what with them, each other in there. Whether they like each other or not, good for us. But let them get out is the end goal, and they will. What's my next point? So traffic police, this is a new thing that they're also trying to do. Traffic police is going to come up with some bogus policies targeting Nup and Ugandans, or people who voted for Nup. They're going to set up mandatory checkpoints, several checkpoints, compulsory to have vehicles checked. I mean, if you have a baby wrapped up in a blanket, they're going to tell you open the baby, because they're looking for Kyagulanyi. Take the blanket out, get up, stand out, get outside. You know, all these things, because they're fearful. They don't know where Kyagulanyi is, you know. They think and suspect that he could hit them at any time, and that he could come equipped to do whatever he can do, because Kyagulanyi being away and on the loose is the biggest headache these people have. The biggest headache Museveni and the son and Salim Saleh have is Kyagulanyi's not being around or visible. And they think that when they capture these new people, that Kyagulanyi's phone is actually open, because he's so stupid, right? They think Kyagulanyi's phone is being charged every day so that Kyagulanyi can call his people or call all of his executives to talk to them. Museveni, that's not how we work. Kyagulanyi always probably has 20 banner phones. You know those banner phones where you use once and throw in the trash? He will never be tracked, okay? This is a new generation, Museveni. This cannot be compared to what you're used to. No. No. We have access to phones where I can use a phone now and nobody can trace it. It's called a banner phone. One example. So if you're looking for him in people's phones, like capturing the executives of Nup, you're wasting your time. Because even there, you're not going to find him. And you're going to continue killing these military people. So people in uniform, you're going to be killed for nothing. Because Bobby Wine is a new generation. He's not what they're used to. They are not going to find Bobby Wine no matter what they do. So what that means is you are the ones who are going to suffer. Why don't we suffer for the right reason? Why waste your blood for these people who are killing us day and night? Make a hero of yourself. Just help us. You know what I mean. Join us. We'll protect you. You will be coming home. You will be. Deus Sunday, had he crossed, he wouldn't be dead today. Aronda Nyakairima, had he chosen to be on the right side, he wouldn't be dead today. The late Lokech, if he had chosen to be on the right side, he wouldn't be dead today. You know? Twikiriza, if he was on the right side, he wouldn't be dead today. But many of you, despite knowing that Museveni has killed these people, you are still moving on with him. You are still taking up positions that become vacant by these people being killed by these people. Let's think a bit more. Okay? Let's think a bit more. UPDF, Come on home, brothers and sisters. Come on home. We will protect you. I promise you that. Come on home and let them fidget with their assignments. They're not smart people. So that's a really good thing on our side. They need you people to go and help them perform these atrocities because they themselves are weak and not smart. I'm going to get to the point where they're not smart and you'll be surprised. Okay, so they want to make transportation experiences very difficult for people because of so many checkpoints. They will also issue a lot of taxes or fines for people who are found with very minor violations. Okay? Taxis from now on are only going to carry 10 people instead of 14 people. They used to carry about 14 people. They are going to be reduced to only 10 people. Because what? Museveni thinks you people might sit on Bobby Wine. Or between you two, there may be a Bobby Wine there. Or under your chair, Bobby Wine might be there. He wants to be able to access and look under. But police officers and traffic officers, we are with you. You know what to do, and we'll be okay. Let them make these, whatever they're thinking. But it won't work. Because just the example of Bobby Wine getting through their hands is good enough indication that we are free. Okay? I talked about that. Intellectuals. The other assignment that Museveni has given journalists and interreligious council, other institutions, universities, medical institutions, churches, they are going to start speaking about peace, unity. You have seen some of these people like the Mbiddes online. I watched an event. I don't know if it's called. What is it called? Mbidde was there. There was a new representative. There was another, maybe 4 gentlemen. It's one of those night shows that they have, I think, on NBS. But what they came to talk about is, it was that gentleman from FDC who said that, who went to see Museveni. Do you see why FDC is such a falsehood of opposition? Do you see that now? Because people like, was he called Muvawala or something? That gentleman from FDC went to see Museveni with some people he claims were in Noop that he coerced to go and see Museveni. Do you see why I say other opposition are fake? Do you know that Museveni should have arrested that man just like all FDC supporters, and they were supposed to be equally in prison? Like the Noop soldiers? That goes to show you the holes in Museveni's existence as a democracy. There is no democracy in this man's language. That goes to show you why people like, what's his name? The guy who, Jema, the president of Jema, walks free. People like Nandala Mafwabi walks free. The guy doesn't even know what he's doing. Is he running, or is he just walking around? Is he just visiting his friends and relatives? None of his people were arrested. None. And then the most amusing part is that the most low-ranking, this man from the Poverty Party, is the one that goes and files a claim to say that the elections were rigged. He doesn't even have a leg to stand on, because when you lose an election to that extent, you have no leg to stand on to contest the winner and the 5 between you, because you will never be in position to take up lead. They have to first of all cancel all the 5 above you to get to you and your win. But in any case, their suspicion was that with that man coming up, maybe Noop would join them. But we have learned very well from the first 2021 elections that the courts do not give justice. The courts only implement Museveni's laws. So that man died in his film. Whatever he was trying to do, obviously he went and withdrew the petition, because foolishly he thought that we would come out and join him and bring all of our DR forms and say, okay, here's the evidence, let's go. But we knew that the loser of losers has no leg to stand on to try to contest an election. Thank you, His Excellency Jacob Oulanya Sentam. Thank you for coming. Where would we get all this? Okay. So anyways, all those intellectuals, medical institutions, churches are going to start speaking about, coming together, talk about, be outspoken, talk about, things have changed, but also he's going to start poisoning those people as well. All these people that he's giving this job to come and speak about these things, Museveni plans to eliminate. People are assigned the job of research to report to SFC and Damulira in hotels and hospitals, lodges, so they're poisoned and killed. Captain Francis Babu once said, has been, who knows, you remember Babu recently lost a son. And for the first time, he came out, eyes wide open, saying Museveni is bad, Museveni this and that. With everything that he said, like I said, when those people came, they were either very comfortable with the money Museveni was giving them, or they were hoodwinked by Museveni's agenda. Because who knew that Francis Babu would ever be against Museveni? But because he came out and spoke after his son died, because he thought that his son would also be privileged like Muhoozi. No. That's not how Museveni works. Ask this Muslim gentleman who lost his son, the very outspoken son. All the first sons of previous ministers, people who worked for Museveni government, are non-existent. Purposely, because Museveni doesn't want competition with his lumpen of a son. That is why people who had children who were doing so well, some of these children of these people, like the Babus, went to school with the Muhoozis and even took papers or took assignments on his behalf. But when the time came, Naduli, thank you so much, Polly. Naduli's son, Haji Naduli, when the time came for his son to show up, he was outspoken and everybody thought that's wonderful. That's, we have somebody who has some reasoning capacity. We have all this. A few moments later, the son was gone. Why? Museveni doesn't want competition with his lumpen. The other one is the son who went to Sandhurst with Museveni. If you can remind me, I'm watching comment section. What is his name? I'll get to it. If I see it, I'll let you know. Even that son was killed. Some of them are fetched out in the US here and something's done to them because like then, Museveni did not want competition of age mates with his son. Now he doesn't want competition or disrespect from generals with tenure and seniority in the armed forces to be under his son because he knows they know too many tactics and may be able to get rid of him. Okay? I may have to come twice, so just know that if I get off somehow, I will come back in a different portion of I have a lot of information. Okay? So Museveni has said Captain Francis Babu should be assassinated or should be killed. Remember when I told you last time that the Chinese have told him to stop? Oh, yes. Jones, thank you. Gilbert Bukenya's son went to school with Muhoozi at Sandhurst. But as soon as he was finished, they found a way to kill that son. Because then that son becomes a parallel competitor with the lumpen. Okay? So that one was eliminated. Captain Francis Babu, according to inside sources, Museveni has said should be killed because he's starting to speak up. And that doesn't work for Museveni. Everybody has to shut up and walk with their head down like sheep and follow whatever he says and say, yes, sir. Well, some people have woken up, maybe out of hardship for Babu. I cannot say that it's because he really wanted to. No. I believe it's because his son was killed mysteriously and also because he has not been able to afford life like he used. I'll be right back. Okay. My phone I had a call coming in. So they're supposed to capture these new people at once, even if they're in different parts of the country. the city of Kampala. They're already trailing these people. They want to catch all of them at once. Okay? Once they do, take them to one place, and then these places, I think they said Church House or Mapera House. Those are the two possible locations. If you know, Mapera House and Church House are tall buildings, and because Museveni is very fearful, those two top floors, he has rented them out, or forcefully, obviously, has forcefully taken those two top floors so that he can use them for his security monitoring of anything that could hit him in Nakasero. So those floors are not free for nothing. He actually takes them once people build and makes them his own, where he takes people for meetings, where he terrorizes people. So those two places, either Mapera House or Church House, is where these NUP executives are going to be taken in the night, so that no news or media or some of us, well, that'll be the opposite of their time, so I will know about it and I'll come live. He wants to take them there so that he can get each one of them to call Kyagulanyi, His Excellency, and try to get his whereabouts. Like I said, Museveni thinks, and Muhoozi, Salim Saleh, they think that Bobby Wine has his phone with him and that they're going to call his number that used to be and say, hey, boss, we are here. How are you doing? So he thinks that because each one of them speaks with him at different levels, he thinks that somehow one of them will be, His Excellency will tell them where he is. No, buddy. That's not how it works. At this point, I can tell you, just being who I am, that if I were His Excellency, which I know he's smarter than I am, I wouldn't have my phone, the usual one. So there's not a way that anybody can reach me. I would be the only one to reach someone. So that is probably not going to happen now that they've heard it from here. Okay? The mission should be at night so that by morning they're already released and returned to their prospective homes. But Muhoozi will meet them and try to interrogate them and try to get His Excellency's whereabouts. Also, Museveni has released money to the media houses to start hosting programs of peace and reconciliation. I told you about that. The Kasukus are privy to this information. They're aware and they're going to push this as far as possible. The religious council, inter-religious council, elites and professionals, not politicians, because for a change, Museveni doesn't want to use politicians for this mission because he has lost a lot of money. For example, the Mpuga said, oh yeah, give us anything you can because we're going to bring this Kaboi to you. Oh yeah, that did not work. So Museveni does not want to use politicians anymore because we have punched holes through them. Holes, yes, boycott Kasuku, please. Everybody do. Nabanja is to be removed, and Museveni has said so. They say that Nabanja is a total embarrassment and adds no value to his government anymore. As you know, Nabanja is just a position filler. In their description, as they laugh and joke about it, they say Nabanja's only good job is to take money, mawugo, to funerals. She has no value. She should never be sent to a foreign mission abroad for any reason. Only sent to burials. And when she's done with Museveni's burials, at some point they'll get rid of her. They're saying Kadaga will not pass June. She will not live until June of this year. And they're working on a replacement already. They're discussing people like Namuganza, but many of them feel like Namuganza is not appropriate because what they use her for is different. Let's just stop at that. So the transition process for UPDF, here's how it goes. All 3 and 4 figure